पोटेंशियल में ये क्यों बैठ रहा हूँ पता है? क्यों बैठ रहा हूँ पता है?
Ma'am, your voice is low. Seema, ma'am.
कोई तो है ये ना वो विवेक पोटेंशियल में ये क्यों बैठ रहा हूँ पता है? क्यों बैठ रहा हूँ पता है?
Ma'am, your voice is low. Seema, ma'am.
कोई तो है ये ना वो विवेक पोटेंशियल में ये क्यों बैठ रहा हूँ पता है? क्यों बैठ रहा हूँ पता है?
Ma'am, your voice is low. Seema, ma'am.
कोई तो है ये ना वो विवेक
like the
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening, Good evening, ma'am.
वंदना कनौजी
Yeah.
Good
वंदना
evening, ma'am.
कनौजी है वो
Good evening, ma'am.
गुड
Good evening, ma'am.
गुड इवनिंग मैम
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening, Good evening, ma'am.
वंदना कनौजी
Yeah.
Good
वंदना
evening, ma'am.
कनौजी है वो
Good evening,
ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good
good
evening, ma'am.
evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
वंदना कनौजी
Yeah.
Good
वंदना
evening, ma'am.
कनौजी है वो
Kanojia, Kanojia.
Good evening, ma'am. Good
Good
evening, ma'am.
evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
वंदना कनौजी
Yeah.
Good
वंदना
evening, ma'am.
कनौजी है वो
Kanojia, Kanojia.
Good evening, ma'am. Good
Good
evening, ma'am.
evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
वंदना कनौजी
Yeah.
Good
वंदना
evening, ma'am.
कनौजी है वो
Kanojia, Kanojia.
Good evening,
Kanojia.
ma'am. Good
Good
evening, ma'am.
evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
वंदना कनौजी
Yeah.
Good
वंदना
evening, ma'am.
कनौजी है वो
Good evening, ma'am.
Kanojia, Kanojia.
Good evening,
Kanojia.
ma'am. Good
Good
evening, ma'am.
evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
वंदना कनौजी
Yeah.
Good
वंदना
evening, ma'am.
कनौजी है वो
Good evening, ma'am.
Kanojia, Kanojia.
Good evening,
Kanojia.
ma'am. Good
Good
evening, ma'am.
evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Can you all go
वंदना
on
कनौजी
mute,
Yeah.
please?
Good
I
evening,
don't
ma'am.
understand why the
Good evening,
recording
ma'am.
Kanojia,
is
Kanojia.
getting repeated.
Kanojia.
Good
Good
evening, ma'am.
evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Can you all go
वंदना
on
कनौजी
mute,
Yeah.
please?
Good
I
evening,
don't
ma'am.
understand why the
Good evening,
recording
ma'am.
Kanojia,
is getting
Kanojia.
repeated.
Kanojia.
Good
Good
evening, ma'am.
evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Can you all go
वंदना
on
कनौजी
mute,
Yeah.
please?
Good
I
evening,
don't
ma'am.
understand why the
Good evening,
recording
ma'am.
Kanojia,
is getting
Kanojia.
repeated.
Kanojia.
Good
Good
evening, ma'am.
evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Can you all go
वंदना
on
कनौजी
mute,
Yeah.
please? Will we start?
Good evening, ma'am.
Understand why the
Good evening,
recording
ma'am.
Kanojia,
is
Kanojia.
getting repeated.
Kanojia.
Good
Good
evening, ma'am.
evening, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Good
All are requested to please go on mute.
Good evening, ma'am.
I request
evening,
everyone
good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
to mute themselves, please.
Ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Let's start. Vivek sir, you can enter. Vivek sir.
Yes, I'm entering.
Yes, sir. Reena, you can start.
Yes.
Right, Reena.
Seema ji, I think your phone is ringing my mobile. You can switch it off.
No, it's off.
You're calling me on the WhatsApp.
Wait, let me check.
Good evening and a warm welcome to one and all. We are soon going to begin with a lively session which will enthrall each one of us and will leave us astounded. Just to make a mention here, the second segment of this webinar will be a Q&A session. All our viewers who have joined us through Zoom and YouTube can feel free to type in their questions during the session in the chat box. All the questions will be addressed by our guest speaker for today. It's a kind request to all the attendees on Zoom to stay on mute so that there is no disturbance in between the session unless you want to unmute and speak during the Q&A session. Also, a feedback form link will be released at the end. All the attendees on Zoom and YouTube are requested to give their valuable insights through the feedback form. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome the guest speaker of today's session, Mr. Vivek Shetty. I would also like to extend a warm welcome to C.A. Shankar Shetty, Chairman Powai Education Committee, General Manager Academics and Administration, Dr. Sandeep Singh, Principal State Board School, Ms. Seema Sablok, Principal International School, Ms. Mildred Lobo, Principal Degree College, Dr. Sridhara Shetty, Vice Principals, HMs, Coordinators, teachers of all the sections, and my dear students who have joined us through Zoom and YouTube. We all desire and deserve to reach the highest point in life, be it our academics or career, isn't it? You will all agree. When it comes to performance, many of us just walk through the motions or simply tolerate our day-to-day routine instead of placing our goal firmly in our mind and then striving relentlessly towards its manifestation. Just because you did something doesn't mean you made any real progress. What matters is how you treat that time, how far you are willing to reach, forcing your skills to continue to improve at the same time, becoming less and less distracted by the attraction of some end goal. Every mountain top is within reach if you start climbing. Today we have with us our very own Mr. Vivek Shetty, who will guide us to know how we can achieve our peak potential. I would request our principal, Ms. Seema Sablok, to introduce and welcome our guest speaker, Mr. Vivek Shetty. Before that, let me ask you one question. Are you ready, everyone, to reach the mountain peak? Are you ready to explore yourself? Are you ready to dive within your inner self and explore the powers within? If yes, then let's get set go. No, wait, one moment. First, a glimpse of Vivek sir through this video. Are you ready to explore yourself? Are you ready to dive within your inner self and explore the powers within? If yes, then let's get set go. No, wait, one moment. First, a glimpse of Vivek sir through this video. Are you ready to explore yourself? Are you ready to dive within your inner self and explore the powers within? If yes, then let's get set go.
You to understand this, even a minister is restless when he goes to bed, even the project cleaner is restless when it goes to bed. It's got nothing to do with money, power and position. Both are restless. तो पुरानी गजल थी, इस शहर में हर शख्स परेशान सा क्यों है, सीने में जलन, आंखों में तूफान सा क्यों है, इस शहर में हर शख्स परेशान सा क्यों है. You to understand this, even a minister is restless when he goes to bed, even the project cleaner is restless when it goes to bed. It's got nothing to do with money, power and position. Both are restless. तो पुरानी गजल थी, इस शहर में हर शख्स परेशान सा क्यों है, सीने में जलन, आंखों में तूफान सा क्यों है, इस शहर में हर शख्स परेशान सा क्यों है. You to understand this, even a minister is restless when he goes to bed, even the project cleaner is restless when it goes to bed. It's got nothing to do with money, power and position.
So here we are today with Mr. Vivek Shetty, Ek Sham Vivek Shetty sir ke saath. So let me introduce you all to Mr. Vivek Shetty. Mr. Vivek Shetty has been a motivational speaker and a life coach with a strong focus on yoga, life sciences, and mystic knowledge for more than 15 years now. With over 500 lectures and sessions to his credit, spread across leading corporate groups, management institutions, NGOs, medical and engineering colleges, international schools, and various management forums. He also conducts one-to-one classes on regular basis for mind management and vocal training. Over 300 students and various professionals and celebrities are now training under him directly for mind management, public speaking, voice training, and many more. His students includes CEOs from UK, USA, and Europe, and of course, our own country, India. He was conferred with the Midday Award for Excellence in Motivation, speaking on 30th May 2019. He has nearly 150,000 followers on Instagram, with numbers multiplying by the hour. He heads Indus Communication, a 360-degree communication services offering state-of-art services in advertising, public relations, event management, and celebrity management to leading corporates, business houses, and celebrities. He was conferred with the Navashakti Award on 29th April 2016 for excellence in communication and branding leading to the social impact. He has a profound interest in music and also is a lead vocalist of a 6-member band that has performed in the leading festivals across the country, like Kala Ghoda, Mood Indigo. He was conferred with the Pancham Award for Melodious Voice of the Year in 2012. His popular radio show, Yes, Celebrating Life with FM Radio, FM Rainbow, is currently on air on 107.1 FM and is part of a reputed and largest Akashvani radio network. His television show CEO Talk with Vivek Shetty was one of the most popular television show for corporate India. His one-of-his-kind television show on human mind titled Man Ek Kalpavriksha, that translates to The Mind of Wishing Tree on DD Sayadri, has been well received and appreciated. He strongly believes in yoga and religiously devotes himself practicing it every single day. He has contributed as freelance writer to leading publications like DNA, Midday, Dainik Jagran, Free Press Journal, Afternoon Savvy, and many more. The truly multifaceted Vivek Shetty dabbles life coaching, management, motivational speaking, yoga, writing, and singing with equal ease and elan. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, with Mr. Vivek Shetty, spending an evening with him, and sit back, enjoy the session, gain whatever best you can. The screen is all yours, Mr. Vivek Shetty. You can go on. Thank you so much for being here for our students.
Namaskara to one and all. Namaskara is the Anjali Mudra in yoga. And when we bring our hands together in this fashion, pressing our fingers together, it is common scientific knowledge that maximum pressure points are at the tips of our fingers. So when we bring our fingers together in this fashion, it connects the nerve centers of our brain to the upper half of our body, making us a picture of joy, exuberance, calmness, and raises our levels of receptivity for the person opposite you. Namaste in traditional India also means that I recognize the universe, the truth in you, and you also recognize the universe and the truth in me. And in this recognition and in this understanding, we are one. Another important quality of Namaste, friends, is that it brings humility into sharp focus. So when you fold your hands in this manner, in a sense, you're bowing to the person opposite you, to the entire audience opposite you. So ego collapses. Ego is the biggest prison that people live in for a lifetime. And once the ego collapses, you can merge with something bigger. So that is the science behind the traditional Indian Namaste. And in this age and era of the COVID-19 pandemic, I'm sure Namaste is also a very important safety precaution. You don't have to touch the person opposite you. At the same time, you pay your respects and you bow down to the person opposite you. With that, I would also like to acknowledge all the distinguished members of the Bansanga SM Shetty School of Educational Institutions, starting with Shankaranna, the chairman, Seema Madam, all the distinguished principals whose names have been read out by this very charming and articulate anchor and host. So I acknowledge the presence of each one of you, and I also thank you for this fantastic opportunity to engage this audience this evening. For providing me this platform, I express my gratitude to each one of you. Most importantly, the speaker exists because the audience exists. The speaker exists because the listener exists. The trainer exists because the student exists. So I acknowledge the presence of this wonderful audience, and I also acknowledge the fact that I exist because you exist. And with that, friends, we'll begin this fascinating evening. I'm going to use another very interesting technique this evening. It's a scientific technique, and I'll just give you a brief introduction of this technique. I have a bell next to me. This is the bell. Okay. Now, in good old traditional India, the bell was used in every second place with a definite scientific purpose. In yoga, we believe that you have 108 chakras which are of absolute significance. And of these 108 chakras, 7 are of utmost importance. So for those of you who do not understand chakras, for a very simplistic understanding, you can presume their energy zones. So when we ring this bell in this manner, it activates those 7 chakras which are of utmost importance, and the message that has to be given registers far quickly and with great clarity. So let us try and use this technique also. Let us see if it can raise the level of receptivity also of the audience. So whenever I say something which I think is significant, whenever I say something which I think is profound, I'm going to ring this bell in this manner. I'm going to use this technique. All right. And most importantly, this is not a sermon which I'm giving from a pedestal. It's going to be fun. It's going to have a lot of small stories. It's going to have a very good dose of humor. You're going to enjoy it. We're going to smile. And it's not a priest who's giving a sermon from a pedestal. So we're going to enjoy this evening. And before I begin any session anywhere, I make two requests to my audience. And this session is going to be no different in that sense, at least. So the first request that I make to my audience is please keep your spine erect as far as possible right through this session. What is the importance of an erect spine? Well, we all have studied evolution and the theory of evolution in our school books and in our curriculum and syllabus. We know that we've evolved from animals. So if you observe animals, they have a horizontal spine. If you observe human beings, we have a vertical spine. And as we evolved from animals to human beings, our spine moved from being horizontal to vertical. Now kindly observe the difference in intelligence between animals and human beings. So your spine literally holds your intelligence. In yoga, we also call it the center of your universe. Whenever you keep your spine erect, chances are you have the optimum possibility of keeping your attention at its peak, of keeping your focus at its peak, of keeping your concentration at its peak. So let's try and keep our spine erect right through this session. The second request that I'm going to make to you is be in the now if you can. Now, this is being used far too widely, far too often, and in that sense, very few people still have grasped the essence of being in the now, and very few have practically managed to achieve it in their day-to-day lives. So I'm going to tell you a small story, good humorous story of why being in the now is so important and what kind of a difference it can make. So there was this three brilliant space scientists who had to travel from point A to point B using a train. And they were waiting at the railway platform for the train to come. They were engaged in a very, very serious discussion about some future space project that was supposed to take off 6 months down the line. And while they were having this discussion, this serious, engrossing discussion, suddenly the train came. The train came, and two of them managed to board the train. One of them, unfortunately, got left behind. Now, this gentleman who was left behind, this scientist who was left behind, was a little dejected, was a little downcast. And there was another passenger on the same railway platform who saw this dejected and scientist and walked up to him and told him, "Sir, what's the problem?" So he told him, "I missed my train." So the passenger pacified the scientist and told him, "It's okay, sir. In 20 minutes, there will be another train on the platform, and you can board that train and proceed wherever you're supposed to go to." He said, "That is not the problem." The passenger was a little curious. So then he inquired further. And he asked him, "Sir, what is the problem?" So he told him, "My two friends have already boarded the train." So again, the passenger pacified him and told him, "Don't worry, sir. You can call them up and tell them to wait for you at the next station. And you can board the next train and catch up with them. There is no issue. There's no fire. Relax. Take it easy." Again, the scientist told him, "That is also not the problem. Now this passenger was a little, irritated, was a little frustrated. So he finally asked him, "Sir, what is the problem?" So he told him, those two friends of mine who boarded the train had actually come to see me off. And now they're in the train and I am here. So this is what happened to three brilliant space scientists who are absolute geniuses in their field, but they just missed being in the now. So with this, I hope each one of you will also try and be in the now, and I'll conduct a live experiment today to demonstrate now. Could I request my host to give me one participant from the audience who can participate in this live experiment? It's going to be fun. It's going to be an exploration process. Could I have somebody from the audience, please?
Yes, I think Akhilesh sir would want to.
Yes, ma'am, definitely.
Yeah.
And
And
I think first let us have ladies first.
oh,
There is somebody, one female, one lady teacher has also raised a hand. I think it is Rimya.
Remya, yeah, Remya ma'am.
First.
Okay, Vindhya.
Remya ma'am.
Yes, Vindhya, can I have you on the screen? Can I see Vindhya on the grid, please?
Can you speak something so you will come on the screen?
Yeah, just a minute.
Ramya?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am, I'm here. Yes. Hello, good evening.
Good
Good
evening,
evening,
Vindhya.
ma'am. Ma'am, can you please put your video on? We are not able to see you on the screen.
Just a minute, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, good evening all.
Good evening, Vindhya. How are you all
Yeah.
well?
Yeah, all well, thank you.
So this is going to be a fun experiment. It's not about right and wrong. It's an exploration process. We're going to see how far we can explore this evening in understanding the now. Okay? And you're going to join me in this exploration process. Everybody in the audience can also do this experiment as I do it with Vindhya. You can also do it. So Vindhya, do you have some object next to you, like a pen or something like that next to you?
Yes, I do have
Okay.
a pen.
Now the experiment is the following. I want you to imagine you're a newborn baby. Newborn baby. Okay? All right? So you have no past. All right? And close your eyes now. Till I tell you open, you have to close your eyes. I want you to touch the pen. Hold the pen and describe this feeling of holding the pen. You're a newborn child. Please remember that. Can you describe this feeling of holding the pen with your eyes closed? Don't open your eyes. That's part of the experiment. Keep the pen where it is.
Yeah.
Just touch the pen and don't worry. You trust me with your eyes closed. Nothing will happen. Okay? So trust me completely. Describe the experience of holding the pen. Imagine you're a newborn child. You're just born.
Sir, if I'm a newborn, then I don't think that I even am aware of my existence. Like,
No, but yes, you're partly right, but you're not fully right. I'll tell you why. Keep your eyes closed. Don't worry.
okay, yeah,
When you touch the pen, you're getting some sensation, aren't you?
yes.
I want you to describe the sensation.
It is tough.
Where
I'm
it is.
holding it very tight.
1 minute. Now relax. You have no memory. The word tough has come from memory. I'm holding it tight has come from memory. Nobody has yet taught you what is tough. Nobody has yet taught you what is tight and loose. Just describe the sensation and the feeling to me. Don't take words from the past, which is your memory. Right now, your description is coming from memory. There is just sensation and feeling, right? You're holding something. There is just sensation and feeling. Now imagine you have a headache. Just imagine you have a headache. Okay, you're a newborn child, you've got a headache. All right, describe the headache to me. Again, in terms of sensation. Don't know what is a headache. Nobody has told you what is a headache. You are a newborn child. Don't give me words which come from memory.
I would cry.
That's fine. But what is the feeling when there is a pain in your head? Again, there is sensation and feeling, right? Now, alternate between touching the pen and experiencing the headache. Alternate. You're touching the pen, you're feeling the headache. You're touching the pen, you're feeling the headache. So both are sensations and feelings. Am I right?
Right.
And the only difference is the intensity in the sensation and the feeling, right?
Yes.
There is no other knowledge that you have as a newborn child. It is only sensation, feeling. It is a certain amount of vibration within your system. And only difference that you can experience as a newborn child is the difference in the intensity. The headache may be a little more intense. When you're touching the pen, the intensity, the sensation may be a little less. Am I right?
Yes. Correct.
Fantastic. So we are done with the experiment. Thank you so much for being a part of the experiment.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Now what I did with Vindhya is I closed two big windows of life. I closed your past, I closed your memory, I closed your future. A newborn child doesn't think of the future in any case. It doesn't know the word future in the first place. Correct? I brought you totally in the now. I brought you totally in the now. And you'll be surprised to know the only difference between a newborn child and your experience of holding the pen and the headache is your memory. Even now, the only difference between holding, the sensation experienced while holding the pen and the sensation and feeling experienced during a headache for a newborn child and for you is your memory. So what happens over a period of time? The human mind is the biggest factory in the world that produces suffering, because 99.999% of the times it is in one of the two faculties. It is either in memory or it is in imagination. It is rarely in the now. So if you notice, the first two responses that came also came from memory. One word which you used was lose. The other word which you used was tough. Both these words have come from memory. Did you observe that?
Yes.
And the idea of being in the now is, I'll tell you how this works practically when you're in the now. Okay? So this happens in my office very often. One fine day, we had a sudden event which, was announced by a client in another city. So I called a meeting of all my friends and colleagues, okay, and who are part of my team, of the event management team. And I told them we have to do an event at short notice tomorrow in a city, another city called Pune. So the meeting happened. I gave them the brief. They all got ready to go. There was one lady in the meeting who asked me a question. Sir, do I have to go to Pune tomorrow? This was her question. Sir, do I have to go to Pune tomorrow? All right. Now, I told the rest of my team members, y'all please leave the meeting. We are done. I'll just sit with this lady for 2 minutes. And when I sat with her for 2 minutes, I told her, you asked me a very simple question. Do I have to go to Pune tomorrow? Nothing wrong with that. It's a normal question. I said, did you listen to your vibrations, to your sensations while you asking the question? She told me, what do you mean, sir? I said, okay, now remove the words from the sentence. What are the words? Do I have to go to Pune tomorrow? Remove these words. Just listen to your sound. What is the sound coming like? This is the sound you're making. This means you're already crying and whining and cursing that you may have to go to Pune tomorrow. So I asked her, at the energy layer, you're, already cribbing, you're crying, you're whining, and you're saying, I have, oh heavens, do I have to go to Pune tomorrow? What the hell? This is the energy that is coming from you. And with this energy, if I give you any task for tomorrow's event, do you think it can be a huge success? It simply can't be. So when we are in the now, when yogis say they are in the now, they listen to these sounds without the filter of memory. I don't look at the designation of the candidate. I don't look at her words. I just listen to the sensations and the sounds, and that gives me the more accurate picture. So another simple practical example for everybody in the audience to understand is, if Virat Kohli, the Indian cricket team captain, is facing a fast bowler who has a fearsome reputation of taking wickets quickly, when that fast bowler is bowling to Virat Kohli, he has two options. He can either think, keeping in mind the memory of the fast bowler, which means a very fierce bowler who takes wickets quickly and he can wreak havoc. This is the memory, this is the reputation of the bowler. Or he can look at the ball and he says, I'll treat every ball the way it comes. The best bowler in 1 over can bowl one bad ball, and the worst bowler in 1 over can bowl one good ball. Don't look at the bowler through your memory, through the filter of your memory. Treat every ball on merit. Treat it as it comes. And that is why Virat Kohli becomes a world-class batsman. He's doing this all the time. And every great batsman is doing this. They remove the filter of memory. They treat the ball. They look at the ball exactly the way it's coming. And they do justice depending on the ball. They negotiate the shot depending on the ball. So that's it. So that was my 2 requests. And now we'll proceed headlong into this fascinating, intriguing, riveting webinar. And as we go into this evening, I'm sure each one of you are going to keep my 2 requests in mind, which means keep your spine erect as far as possible, number 1. And number 2 is be in the now if you can. We've already demonstrated to you what is now. When you listen to a speaker, try and listen to him with every body cell of yours. Try and remove the filter of memory. Memory is also useful. Memory is required. We'll come to that. It is at a certain level, memory is required for survival process and we should use it. So please bear this in mind. I'm not saying don't use memory, but where to use memory is the key. And how to use memory is the key. So memory can be a platform on which you can sit and ride life, or memory can be a huge burden and you will always miss the real picture. We'll get into that as we get into the mind management aspect in this webinar. So right now we enter this fascinating, riveting subject called towards peak potential. These words have been coined very carefully. When you use the term peak potential, let us have absolute clarity on what we mean when we use this terminology. Well, we all are watching in the news, Indian Air Force has acquired the Rafale planes to boost our air power. Now, if Rafale has to function at peak potential, we should first know what are the capabilities of the Rafale, what is the facilities, what is the user manual of the Rafale. Only when our pilots know what the Rafale can do, when they have studied the user manual, when they have studied the potential of the Rafale, when they have studied the facilities available in the Rafale, that is when they can use it to maximum impact. A similar yardstick and a similar logic applies to the human system. You have to understand the I first and then conduct the I at peak potential. The understanding of the I is very important for peak potential to unfold itself. And many of you may be surprised to know this. Whatever you're studying, wherever you're studying, whatever age group you belong to, suppose if you don't know the I, there is a serious problem. What is that problem? Well, I'll give you an example. Vivek Shetty is watching a rose flower. Vivek Shetty is watching a rose flower. There are 2 points of reference. The rose flower and Vivek Shetty. Vivek Shetty's study of the rose flower, Vivek Shetty's experience of the rose flower is relative to Vivek Shetty. Is relative to Vivek Shetty. 1 point of reference, the rose flower, we know. The other point of reference, we don't even know what it is. Is Vivek Shetty mind? Is Vivek Shetty body? Is Vivek Shetty a combination of mind and body? Who is Vivek Shetty? And without knowing this point of reference, your entire learning, your entire experience, your entire thesis that you may make on the rose flower is meaningless. Because 1 point of reference, you don't even know what is that point of reference. I am studying nuclear physics. Who is the I? I am studying rocket science. Who is the I? And all the chaos in the planet is because the I is hanging in the air. Nobody or very few people have really got down to understanding the I. And when the I is hanging in the air and you don't know what is the I, any wind can blow it any way. And that is why, if you notice this, a vast part of this generation, it is a restless generation. So that video was played before I started my talk, where I'm quoting an old ghazal. सीने में जलन, आंखों में तूफान सा क्यों है? इस शहर में हर शख्स परेशान सा क्यों? Why is there a constant heartburn? Why is there a storm in every eye? Why is everybody so restless? The toilet cleaner is restless when he goes to bed. The CEO is restless when he goes to bed. The minister is restless when he goes to bed. It has got nothing to do with money, power, and position. They are all restless. And that is because we've not understood the I. So, if you understand the context, you will appreciate the content a lot more. What is the other context to understanding the I? Why is understanding the I so important? 80% of the conditions that human beings suffer from today, nearly 80%, are psychosomatic in nature. Psychosomatic means disease by the people, for the people, of the people. Disease produced by your mind for your body. So, an example here is that if a mosquito bites you, God forbid, it should not happen, but if a mosquito bites somebody and you contract malaria, that is an external attack. But BP, type 2 diabetes, arthritis, all produced by the mind for your body. Psychosomatic in nature. Depression, anxiety, and all other related conditions. The other most important aspect of understanding the I, the context to the I. Just look at the world around you. What are the biggest industries in the world today? Easily among the top 5 and probably at number 1 is arms and ammunition. At number 2 are drugs and intoxicants. At number 3 is pharmaceuticals. I have nothing against the pharmaceutical industry. Again, I repeat for sake of clarity, it is required at a certain level for human well-being. But the tragedy is the following. Pharmaceuticals, if it has reached number 3 or is in the top 5, means we are eating more medicines than food. We are definitely a more comfortable generation, but are we a more joyful generation? Your grandfathers, your forefathers probably did not need a pill till 60. Today, most people need a pill by the time they touch 25. And for a headache and for a stomach ache, we keep popping pills here and there, left, right, and center. It's become part of routine life. It's not abnormal anymore. Who made popping pills normal? The pharmaceutical industry. And that is how they got to number 3. Many of you would be surprised, in some of the most advanced countries of the world, I won't take their names because I don't want to run down any particular country, but I'm using the terminology, the most advanced nation of the world. If you haven't seen a shrink, a psychiatrist, by the time you're 25, they ask what's wrong with you. It is fashionable to see a psychiatrist by the time you're 25. This is where it is. The last context, I can give you a whole lot of points, but with this last point, I'll end and I'll proceed headlong into the subject. You see, most of you here are also students. You're going to enter relationships sooner or later in a big way, and that's going to play a major part of your life. You may be surprised to know, in adulthood, when students enter their teens and become adults eventually, 90% of human energy is wasted in either pursuing a relationship or avoiding a relationship. 90% of energy is wasted that. So this is the context to the I. And now I'll get into the content of the I. Because you understood the context, you'll appreciate the content a lot more. I'm going to break this webinar into 2 distinct parts. One is understanding of the I. And that is part 1, which I'm going to get into headlong now. And the second part is how do we achieve peak potential with this understanding of the I. So to understand the I, I'll tell you a small humorous story. You see, there was a famous speaker who was addressing a large gathering. And one person from the audience, while he was speaking, interrupted him and told him, the way you're speaking, the way you're talking, I think you don't believe in God. You're an atheist. I'm sure everybody here, or most of you here, know the meaning of the word atheist. An atheist is somebody who does not believe in God. So he told the speaker, I think you're an atheist. So the speaker responded by saying, I was an atheist till I realized I'm God. I was an atheist till I realized I'm God. So the gentleman from the audience who asked him the question burst out laughing. He said, you must be crazy. I think you lost it completely. You're saying you're God? So then this gentleman from the audience named all the gods that he was worshipping and told him, so you mean to say that all these people whom I'm worshipping are not gods and you are God? So he said, no, I never meant that. I do not deny the divinity of any human being, and I do not deny my own divinity. Mark his words. He said something very profound. I do not deny the divinity of any human being, and I do not deny my own divinity. What did he mean when he said divinity? What did he mean when he said the divinity of every human being? And that is essentially the I, and that is consciousness or awareness. What do I mean when I say I means consciousness or awareness? I'm going to do another live experiment here and demonstrate this a little bit to you. Hopefully you will get it. And then we'll go further and explore this I even further, investigate this I even further, inquire into this I even further and deeper. Could I have somebody from the audience for another experiment, please?
Yes, sir. We have Akhilesh, sir, who would like to volunteer. Akhilesh, sir, we'll put you on the spotlight.
Hi, sir. Good evening, sir. This is Akhilesh Singh.
Good evening, Akhilesh. You've got a 1,000-volt smile. Fantastic.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
My room has become brighter. So
thank you.
Incidentally, smile is also a form of meditation.
Yeah, I do.
Smile
Yeah.
is very good for the health. I always tell people, you smile at everybody. Smile is health for you. If you frown at people, it is disease for you. Okay. So fantastic, Akhilesh. I want you to participate in, again, a very fun experiment. It is not about judgment. It's again an exploration process. We are going to investigate and explore. Okay. So, Akhilesh, I want you to close your eyes again, like we did in the last experiment. Okay. Now, just imagine a horizontal line on your waist, imaginary horizontal line on your waist, which separates your body into two halves, the upper half and the lower half. Just imagine that. Okay, there is a horizontal line. Your full name is Akhilesh what? Close your eyes only and reply me. Don't open your eyes.
Akhilesh Singh. S-I-N-G-H. Yes, sir.
So now imagine this horizontal line and tell, I am Akhilesh Singh. And when you say, I am Akhilesh Singh, I want you to tell me, where is the I feeling coming from the upper half of your body or from the lower half? So tell, I am Akhilesh Singh, and tell me, where is the I feeling coming from? You can say loudly, I am Akhilesh Singh.
I am Akhilesh Singh.
Now observe the I feeling. When you're saying I, observe that feeling and tell me, where is that feeling coming from? We have divided your body with an imaginary horizontal line in two halves, the upper half and the lower half. Where is it coming from?
So there are two parts into this. If I can talk a little more about this, there are two parts. One is I and one is Akhilesh Singh.
I only want you to focus on the I. Forget Akhilesh Singh.
The I is from the, there is no body in that, sir, then.
But where is it? I'm telling, where is the feeling coming from? From the upper half or from the lower half? When you're saying something, there is some feeling within you. When you're saying something, there is some sensation within you. When you're saying something,
upper half.
Upper half. Fantastic. Fantastic. Now forget your lower half. I'm taking we are only dealing with the upper half now. I'm taking the imaginary horizontal line further up to your neck. Now your upper half is divided into two halves. One is below your neck and one is above your neck. Okay. Again say, I am Akhilesh Singh, and focus only on the I and tell me, where is the I feeling coming from?
It's from the upper half.
Upper half. Fantastic. Great going, Akhilesh Singh. Now we remove the entire lower half from below your neck. Okay. And now I'm giving you another, forget the horizontal line, the imaginary horizontal line. I'm giving you two vertical lines. We are clear that the I feeling is coming from here. Okay. That much is clear from above your neck. Now you can open your eyes for 1 minute, please, Akhilesh.
Yes, sir.
I'm giving you two horizontal lines like this. Imagine two horizontal lines like this. And again say, I am Akhilesh Singh, and tell me, where is the I feeling coming from? It is coming from out of these vertical lines, sorry, or is it coming from within these vertical lines? Just, you can put your hand like this. Okay? Yeah. And everybody can do this experiment, please. Put your hands like this, Akhilesh. Okay? Yes. And say, I am Akhilesh Singh, and tell me whether the I feeling is coming from within your hands or from outside your hands.
Within the hands.
Fantastic. So now if you observe, the I feeling for you is essentially coming from the mind. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the I feeling is coming from the mind. Are you also capable of watching your mind and watching your thoughts? Okay, I'm talking to you. You can open your eyes and answer me now.
Yes, sir. Not the mind, but the thoughts. I can watch my thoughts.
Thoughts are coming from mind only, right?
Yeah.
So when you're watching thoughts, you're watching, in a sense, you're watching mind only. Right? Because the mind is what is producing the thought. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So there is somebody else besides the mind who's also watching. Have you realized that?
Yeah.
Now that I is consciousness and awareness. That I is the consciousness and awareness, which is also watching your mind, which is watching your thoughts.
Exactly.
And for giving you a scientific explanation for that. Okay, Akhilesh, I'm done with the experiment. You've done wonderfully well. Thank you so much. Okay?
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so now I'm getting into the eye. Please listen with careful attention because this is going to play a very important role in your life. No matter what you do, no matter where you are, no matter what background you come from, no matter whether you're an adult or you're a student or you're a working professional. So this eye that we've zeroed down to, okay, this, to understand this eye, if you go back, when you were a single cell, if you do a little bit of research, you'll find out you were a single cell. You didn't even have brain. You didn't even have body. You didn't have any organs. As a single cell, you multiplied yourself many times and eventually became 50 trillion cells. To multiply and become 50 trillion cells and to become the brain, the hands, the legs, the ears, the eyes, the nose, there is a certain level of awareness that is required. That awareness was there even in the single cell when you had no brain, when you had no body. And in fact, that awareness was there even before sperm met ovum. I can go back in time. It's timeless, it's dimensionless, but I don't want to go that far back because that is beyond the scope of this webinar. But for a basic understanding for all the students and the rest of the people in this audience, that awareness was there in that single cell. Otherwise, it simply could not have multiplied and become 50 trillion or 70 trillion cells, as scientists are saying today. Whatever it is, it's a huge number. And become your brain, become your nose, become your eyes, become your ears, become your genitalia, become everything that you think is your body and mind. And to understand the eye a little better, I'll give you another simple example, especially for the benefit of the students who love movies. With this example, you'll get the eye crystal clear. Okay? You see, there was a small child in a village where there were no theaters. Those days, the theater was only in the cities. So the child had heard that there are theaters in the cities and he had never seen a theater. So he was after his father that I want to go to a theater and watch a movie. I want to see what a theater is like. Now, after a lot of pestering and getting after his father, the father finally one day agreed to take the child to the city to watch a movie. By the time they reached the theater, the movie had already started. Okay. And before entering the theater, the child was asking the father, what happens in a theater? So the father had told the child, in the theater there is a screen, and in the screen there are pictures, music, dance, and all which will keep coming and going. It will be a good story. You will enjoy. This is what the father had described to the son when he asked him what happens in a theater. So now the son has entered the theater with the father, but he entered a little late, so the movie had already started. So the child was watching the movie. He understood it. Okay, there is song going on, there is dance going on, people are talking, there are characters coming and going, there's a lot of color, there's a lot of noise, all those things he understood. After watching for some time, he asked his father, Father, where is the screen? I can't see the screen. You told me there is a screen. And on the screen, you know, these things will keep happening. Where is the screen? So the father said, was thinking how to show him the screen because the movie is already on. And it was a movie about Tarzan. We all know about Tarzan. So he pointed out to the screen and he said, this is the screen. So the child saw the screen and he said, you mean Tarzan is the screen? He said, no, Tarzan is not the screen. Behind him. So he said, behind him are those animals. You mean those animals are the screen? He said, no, behind that. So he said, behind that I can see, the grass and the sky and the trees. You mean that is the screen? He said, no, you're not getting it. Behind that. So he kept saying behind that, but he could never explain to his son what is the screen. Then something interesting happened. The interval happened. When the interval happened, the movie stopped first and the lights came on. When the lights came on, there was only the white screen and there was nothing on it. And the father immediately jumped and told his child, look, that is the screen. That is the screen. So this screen is an example of consciousness. All mind-body activity is happening on the screen. All the thunder, the storm, the violence, the anger, the love, the romance is happening on the screen, but the screen remains unaffected by everything. Similarly, we say all activity, scientific activity and non-scientific activity and all types of activity that the mind body does is an activity in consciousness. Just like every activity in the movie is an activity on the screen, and the screen remains unaffected by the activity. And that is why it is called bliss consciousness. And people also call it awareness. So this happened once. You see, there was a smuggler in an ancient Indian village. He used to smuggle goods from one kingdom to another. And those days, like, they used to have security at the border, guards standing and checking the bags and everything, stuff like that. Like we have security checks at the airport, at toll nakas, and many other places. Those days, those smugglers used to use donkeys to, transport goods. So they used to put bags on the back of the donkey and take the donkey and travel. So this man was a smuggler. He had been smuggling for 25 years, but no one caught him. They never found anything that was illegal, which they could catch and pinpoint and say that he's a smuggler. So the chief of the security guard, after 25 years, one fine day he retired. And by that time, he became very good friends with this smuggler. After retirement, they spent some good time together. One day in the evening, when they were just chatting, he said, look, I'm no longer a security chief now, and I'm not concerned with the security at the border. So could you please tell me one thing which I was very curious to know for 25 years? We all knew you were a smuggler. Every guard knew you were a smuggler. We used to check you inside out 20 times, but we could never catch you. What were you smuggling? Every bag we checked 10 times inside out. We could never find anything. What were you smuggling? So he said, I was smuggling donkeys. So consciousness is like the donkey. It's right under your nose, but you miss it completely. It's right here in this webinar as I'm talking to you. Vivek Shetty is not talking to you. Consciousness is using the mind-body mechanism and the mind-body of system of Vivek Shetty to convey this message to you. It is consciousness speaking to you. It is the same consciousness that is there in all of us. The mind-body systems are different. But as far as consciousness goes, it is the same consciousness that is there in each one of us. And if you look at your day-to-day life, well, there are three states. Three states. The waking state, which means this, you're awake now. Each one of us is awake. Each one of us is completely, alert. This is called the waking state. There is the dream state. The difference in the waking state and the dream state is, in the waking state, you use your five senses, touch, sound, smell, to conduct life. In the dream state, your body is sleeping, but your mind doesn't go to sleep. It shows you pictures. The mind is traveling, though the body is stationary. And many times in the dream, it's almost like real. So I've seen people, who are climbing mountains in their dreams. They reach the top of the cliff and then they imagine they're falling. And suddenly they wake up from the dream and they're panting, they're sweating. And then they realize it was just a dream. So this is called swapna in Sanskrit, the dream state. And this is your second state. The third state is what we call deep sleep. In the dream state, you have mind working, but body is not working. Your senses are not working. Though in your in your mind, you feel as if everything is real. When you wake up, you say it was just a dream, it's false. The third state is deep sleep. In deep sleep, you have no mind and you have no body also. Because if you don't even have a thought to say that I am sleeping. If you have a thought to say that I am sleeping, means you are not sleeping, you are not in deep sleep. So in deep sleep, there is no mind, there is no body. But still there is somebody who wakes up in the morning and says, I slept like a log of wood. I had very sound sleep. Who is that someone? That someone is awareness. You didn't even know you exist, let alone the world around you exists in deep sleep. But there is somebody who wakes up in the morning and says, I had sound sleep. Who is that somebody? It cannot be mind and body, because there was no mind and body there. You are not even aware of it. This is awareness. This is consciousness. And with this realization of awareness and consciousness, now if you start conducting life, you have full potential to reach the peak. You can conduct life at peak potential with this understanding. Having understood the I, where does the realization of the I happens? The realization of the I happens in your mind. That is why mind management is important. This realization of the I happens in the mind. So, having understood the I, we will get into the second aspect of how to conduct life at peak potential, having understood that we are just consciousness, we are just awareness, and that is that same consciousness and awareness which is illuminating your waking state, which is, the activity that you're doing in the waking state is actually an appearance of consciousness. The activity that is happening in dream is actually an activity in consciousness. Even deep sleep, consciousness is there. Its potential is there in that mass, in that body. But it has nothing to reflect, because mind is also gone off and body is also gone off. Both are switched off. But consciousness is there, even there. So with this understanding that we are not mind and body, we are consciousness, we are awareness. And now for your knowledge, even Western scientists have finally floating a theory called unified field. Ancient Indian wisdom knew this 1,000 years ago. Quantum physics and quantum mechanics are now finding it out and giving it a terminology called unified field. Unified field means what? In simple terms, it means simply consciousness, awareness. Everybody is part of the same consciousness and awareness. If you are consciousness and I am consciousness, if you are awareness and I am awareness, essentially there is only consciousness and awareness everywhere. Mind bodies are different, but essentially it's a unified field. And this Western scientists are finding out today, though traditional Indian wisdom knew this 1,000 years ago. With this knowledge, we'll now come to achieving peak potential using the mind with this awareness. Okay. Now, coming to the human mind, it's a very vast subject. I can do something like 20 webinars on it. But since we have time constraints, I'm going to limit myself to the key aspects, which I think will make a huge difference to your success, to your careers, to your life, to ensuring that you conduct a joyful, exuberant, and ecstatic life. So the first thing that I'm going to touch upon in mind management for peak potential is concentration. Almost anything you set your eyes upon, you can achieve. You can be successful if you learn the fine art of concentration. I'll give you a simple example which every student can relate to and apply in his day-to-day life. How concentration can make a big difference. We all have heard of Swami Vivekananda. Now, this is a story about Swami Vivekananda. Vivekananda had a unique habit which none of the students had in his institution where he was studying. What was that unique habit? He used to go to the library every single day and pick up a book. The book would be 300 pages, 400 pages. The next day, he would return the book and pick up another book. He did this religiously every day. The librarian, who was a very senior person, watched this for about a couple of months. And one fine day, out of sheer curiosity, stopped Vivekananda and told him, I have never seen a student like you who picks up a 200, 300 pages book every day, returns it the next day, and picks up the next book, which is equally voluminous, which is equally so exhaustive. Do you actually read the books, or you just turn some pages, see the cover, front cover, back cover, and return it, and you're making a projection to everybody that you're a voracious reader and you read a lot, so that your family people think you're very studious and all your friends also think you're very studious? Is this some kind of an act, or do you actually read the books? So Vivekananda politely told him, I read every single page, every single word of every book that I have taken from you. So the librarian was surprised. He said, I don't believe this. 300 pages, 400 pages, you're telling me in 24 hours you finish it off and you come back to me for the next book. It's impossible. You will take at least 7 to 10 days to finish one book. It's not possible in 24 hours. So Vivekananda told the librarian, let's do a simple test. You have the list of all the books that I've taken in the last few days and couple of months. You pick up any book of your choice. You ask me anything from any book that I have picked up in the last 2 months. The librarian was surprised by his audacity and his confidence. So the librarian said, I have to test this guy and make him eat humble pie and realize that, he can't do this fooling around with me. So the librarian actually picks up 10 books, and first book turns a certain page and asks him a few questions. Vivekananda replies with paragraph, chapter and verse. Another book, another question, paragraph, chapter and verse reply. This particular thing which you're asking is mentioned on page number so and so, in para number so and so, in this chapter it is mentioned, and this is the answer to it. After finishing all the 10 books, the librarian was shocked. He could not believe what was happening. He said, how do you do this? How is it possible? So Vivekananda said, it is my power of concentration. It is my power of concentration. What most people would take 10 days to finish a book or 7 days to finish a book, I can finish it in 1 day, and I'll remember it for a long, long time, beyond your imagination. What was this technique that Vivekananda was talking about? And just for the benefit of my audience, it was not one fluke with Vivekananda. He did it many times with many people, even abroad. And everybody was equally surprised and wondering, is this some kind of magic? How is he doing this? Well, just to give you a broad understanding of the technique, of course, getting to that level to which Vivekananda got to requires a lot of practice, because concentration is both a science and an art. Science because there are definite steps to it. Art because once you understand the steps, you have to practice it. But I'll give you a broad picture of the concentration technique, and I'll also give you certain techniques which you can use to take your concentration to the next level. So listen very carefully. What was this technique that Vivekananda used? Well, when you are studying A for apple in nursery, okay, after 1 year or 6 months or 2 years at the most, when you're studying A for apple, you have to say A for apple, A-P-P-L-E, apple. You have to keep saying this for the first 6 months, 1 year. After 1 year, When I say apple, I don't have to say tell you A, P, 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 L, E. It's automatically understood. After some time, depending on your rate of progress, if I use the word apple in a sentence, I don't have to tell you the exact spelling of the sentence and everything. You grasp the sentence also quickly. I just have to say the sentence once, you picked it up. This technique, if you expand further from the sentence, you can go to the paragraph, entire paragraph you pick up. From the paragraph, because it's registered so quickly with such concentration, and most people take many years, but Vivekananda used to use what we call the laser beam technology of concentration. Intense energy in one direction. I'll come to that. So you'll eventually manage the para. From the para, you'll graduate to the page. From the page, you'll graduate to many pages. From many pages, you'll graduate to the book. From one book, you'll graduate to many books. This is the technique. Now, every thought has got energy. Please understand this with complete intensity of involvement. Every thought has got energy. If the energy is strong, the chances that that thought manifests in reality is far too higher. So whenever people make their dreams a reality, what is happening? Concentration of energy is happening. They're holding on to one thought for a long time without any fluctuation. What do I mean by fluctuation? Suppose if I throw a ball on a plastic sheet, okay? The plastic sheet warps around the ball. It's a plastic sheet. It will start closing around the ball, warping around the ball in this fashion. So the moment your thought is fluctuating, your thought revolves around everything that you start thinking about. Your mind starts warping on your thoughts. It starts holding on to those thoughts. That is fluctuation. This is also called vritti in Sanskrit. If there is no fluctuation, you're holding on to one thought for a long time, it becomes what we call a laser beam technology. You all have heard of laser surgery. What happens in laser surgery? Intensity of energy in one direction. So if you align your thoughts in one direction, hold on to a thought in one direction, your concentration powers increase. Your grasping becomes almost magical. As I said, you will move quickly from a para to a page, from a page to multiple pages, from multiple pages to multiple books. And what others will read and understand in 10 hours, you will finish it in 2 hours. So this was the technique that Vivekananda used for concentration. And he also had very powerful yogic practices which backed him up. I'll be coming to that also, because he used to sit in meditation for long times. Meditation is a powerful technique of concentration. Okay, we'll come to that in the latter part of the session. But right now, for all of y'all, I can give you 1 or 2 simple techniques which y'all can do at your level. Even though you're 10 years old, 15 years old, or 45 years old, you can do it, and you can easily do it. And you should observe how it is making a difference to your concentration. So what are those techniques? Those of you who are fond of a paper pen approach can take it. In any case, I think your management will make a video of this webinar available to you, and we'll also be sharing some structured notes with you for the benefit of each one of you. But those of you who want to take certain notes can do that. Okay, so these are some concentration techniques which will help you increase your energy focus to a particular thought and make that thought stronger, and eventually you will be able to hold on to your thought for a long time. Technique number 1, put a dot on the wall and focus on the dot without batting your eyelids. Eyelids should not move, because when your eyelids move, you get time to think. As long as you can, just put a dot on the wall and do that technique. Once you feel tired, close your eyes, take a break for about a couple of minutes, do that again. See how, and eventually you will find that the dot dissolves as you keep staring at the dot with your eyes wide open, and you don't bat your eyelids. You don't have to move your eyelids, because if you move your eyelids, you get time to think. I don't want to give you time to think, because if you get time to think, fluctuation starts. Then multiple thoughts will come. This is one technique. The second technique, which is also very easy and simple to do, is we all have taps in our houses. Set the flow of water from the tap in such a way that there are only 5 to 10 drops flowing from the tap every minute. Only 5 to 10 drops should flow from the tap. Set the tap in such a way. Switch the tap on so that only 5 to 10 drops are flowing per minute. Watch the drop as it comes from the tap, falls on the sink, and it becomes a ripple. Watch the drop of water continuously till it becomes a ripple. Again, watch the next drop. Again, watch the next drop. Keep watching. This is a tactic to maintain your concentration even in a fish market. You see, concentration is not about going to some caves or going to Himalayas and sitting there isolated and saying, I can concentrate. No. Even if there's a fish market around you, you should not lose your focus. You should not lose your concentration. This technique is maintaining attention in motion. And in life, this technique is required far too often. I'll give you another small story of what happened with a student who was a brilliant archer. You know, in the good old ancient India, they used to teach archery, bow and arrow. So this student had picked up archery so brilliantly, and he used to brag to his friends, you know, I am so brilliant. I'm almost like the Arjuna of Mahabharata. I can, get bullseye with every shot. And he was really damn good. But the teacher observed that he had become a little egoistic. He was bragging to everybody and thinking very highly of himself all the time. So the teacher got a little worried for him because he didn't want ego to come into play, number one. And number two, the teacher also knew that there was much more to learn than what he thinks he has learned already. So he thinks it's over, but there's a lot more to learn. So he wanted to give him that realization. So one fine day, he took all the children to a mountain top. And he took them to the edge of the mountain, to the cliff, to the edge of the mountain, where it's just, 1 foot goes there, you may fall down and it's sure death. So you have to balance on that cliff and practice your archery. And on the opposite side, there was another cliff where there were trees. So he gave them targets on those trees, and he told you have to stand on the cliff. One step here and there on the cliff, it's death. And while standing on the cliff, you have to get your target. So now the students were perplexed. They had never done something like this before. They had no practice, no training of doing something like this. Bow and arrow, they had trained. And when you get the target every time, that's a skill. But what is required in this is a different balance of the mind. So the teacher first went himself. He stood on the cliff and he got the target in the first shot. And then he told this student, who was considering himself the best archer among all the students, he said, you come. I want you now to stand on the cliff and get the target. This boy was very scared. Somehow, with a lot of hesitancy, he finally managed to, reach the cliff. And he picked up the bow and he just could not shoot. The teacher was telling him, get your target. He just could not shoot. So now the teacher told him, do you realize that skill is not the only thing? You may have skill, but if you don't have balance of the mind, if you don't have a foundation to your mind, the skill is of no use. And if you all know the story of Mahabharata, Arjuna had a similar problem when he went for war. He said, I just can't fight here. And he had his own reasons. It took a Krishna to get him to a balance of mind and make him fight and get his targets. So this balance of mind that I'm referring to, what is this balance of mind? Well, This balance of mind is the foundation on which peak potential and peak intelligence can flourish. If there is no balance of mind, even a skilled person can go haywire. So in our society, we see corruption. What is corruption? The balance of mind has got disrupted. In our society, there is huge talk today about nepotism. What is nepotism? The balance of mind is missing. We are seeing suicides and depression around us. What is this? The balance of mind has been lost. The person may have been extremely talented. The person may have been extremely skilled. But if there is no balance, that skill becomes multiplied by 0. Net result, 0. We'll get into some fantastic techniques to achieve balance of mind also. But before that, I want to bring your attention to another very, very important point on mind management, which is relevant to every single one of us, no matter from which sphere of life we come. What is that point? The struggle to achieve goals. Everybody is struggling to achieve goals. If you look at mankind at large, 90% of the people are struggling, if not 99%, are struggling to achieve their goals. Only 1% manage to achieve their goals. Why this struggle? Why so much of a problem? Well, welcome once again to mind management. Your mind has 2 distinct aspects to it. In fact, 3, some scientists are also saying 3 today. But that third part is not so relevant for us today, so I'll probably take it up some other day. What is relevant to us is these 2 parts. The conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and now of course scientists and psychiatrists have coined a third terminology called the unconscious mind. But we'll keep that aside for the moment. Conscious mind and subconscious mind. You have to understand this to achieve your goals. This is very, very important. What is the conscious mind? The conscious mind is the mind of your dreams, the mind of your ambitions, the mind of your desires. I want to become a pilot. I want to become like Virat Kohli. I want to go traveling to London. I want to go to Paris. These are the conscious mind is the mind of your desires, the mind of your ambitions. What is the subconscious mind? To give you an accurate picture of the subconscious mind, I'll take the example of a computer. We all know computers, and today everybody is working online, so that's not an issue at all. A computer has got a hardware, it has got an operating system, and it has got softwares and programs inside it. So when a newborn child comes into life, it has got a brain and it has got an operating system, but it has no programs and softwares. The child gets programs and softwares from? The child gets his programs and softwares, the downloads, from by observing people around it, parents, community, society, your friends or the children you play with. So ancient Indian rishis and gurus used to always say, if you want your child to become what you think he should become, or if you want your child to become what I think he should become, please give me your child in the first 7 years. I'll make sure he's got the right downloads, the right programs, the right softwares. Why is this so important? Well, in a computer, if I want to do a painting, I'll have to first download a software. Say, for example, a software called Paintbrush. That program I'll have to download, and then I'll have to enter the operating system, which means it may be a Windows, it may be a Mac, whatever it may be, access the program through the operating system, and then enter, with that program, I can create a painting using that software. As simple as that. Similarly, your subconscious mind stores all the programs and softwares. And these downloads in the first 7 years, you get from the community around you, from the people around you, from the society around you, from your teachers, from your students. Many of you may be surprised to know that in the first 7 years, most of the downloads that children get in today's age and era, because of internet, because of television, because of so many other things, the hierarchy that's happening in society at large, are negative downloads. Negative, self-sabotaging downloads. At the age of 7, your conscious mind kicks in. And if you look back at your life, you will not remember much between the age of 0 to 4 or 0 to 5. All your memory starts largely by the time you reach 6, 7, 8. Because that's when your conscious mind sets in. Now take a typical example of what happens during childhood. Suppose a child failed in an exam when at the age of 8 years and lost a year. He comes back home and his parents are very angry, and they tell him, we told you long back, stop playing, stop fooling around, avoid the wrong company, but you will not listen to us. We told you, focus on your studies, concentrate, do this, do that, but you would never listen to us. You're a good for nothing, you're useless, you will always be a failure. Mark my words, unless you listen to us. Now he or she has been given a negative download. This way, by the time they reach the age of 20, they have many negative downloads. When they enter their teens, they come home late from a party, they get a negative messaging. They watch television, movies, you'll be surprised to know this. Violence, anger are negative downloads. They get downloaded into your subconscious mind. In the US, why are children going with guns in schools and shooting everybody else? Well, they are playing video games where one person is eliminating another person all the time. When you are playing a video game where one person is eliminating another person all the time, sooner or later you'll get bored of the game and you'll want the real thing. In India, gun licenses are not easily available, so it's not that easy. But in the US, gun licenses are easily available. So this is what happens. A child one fine day picks up his father's or mother's gun and goes on a shooting spree for no logical reason whatsoever. So when you watch a movie which is with violence, which is with anger, be sure of one thing: you're taking a negative download, a negative program in your subconscious mind. You may not pick up a gun and shoot somebody, you may not do something violent, but that negative download, that negative program will certainly manifest as a health problem for you in the future. I will even explain how. So when this child says at the age of 20, he gets a job in a corporate organization, he's at an executive level, and now his conscious mind says, I want to be more successful, I want to go up the corporate ladder, I want more power, more money, more position. This is the ambition of the conscious mind. Okay, so many people think like this, but nothing happens. Why? Because to execute this program of the conscious mind, to execute this ambition of the conscious mind, they have to go and find out a program in the subconscious mind, which supports this program. So like if I want to do a painting, I have to use paintbrush to create the painting. When they go into their subconscious mind to search for the programs, all the programs are negative downloads. Violence, anger, you're a good for nothing, you're useless, eliminating people, this, that, all negative programs are stored. With these negative programs, how do you execute a positive ambition? It's simply not possible. Just not possible. And that is why people are struggling with their goals for a lifetime. We have to eliminate the negative programs, delete the negative programs, and install new programs which support our ambitions and goals. That is when we can achieve our goals. Otherwise, you may say anything till the cows come home. Nothing can be achieved. This is the secret of the subconscious mind. And for the benefit of my listeners again, the subconscious mind is 1 million times faster than your conscious mind. It's very powerful. It's extremely powerful. Your conscious mind can process 40 bits of data per second. The subconscious mind can process 40 million bits of data per second. So it's 1 million times faster. So to give you an example of this speed, who is ensuring that your body is at the right temperature as I'm conducting this webinar so that you can listen to me comfortably? Your subconscious mind. Who takes care of your digestion after you eat the food? Your subconscious mind. Who is ensuring that your blood is flowing at the right pressure in your body so that you don't have a problem? Your subconscious mind. All these things are being done by your subconscious mind. So you can imagine how powerful the subconscious mind is. And no great success, no great glory can be achieved until the conscious and subconscious mind come together as one, and both of them are working towards the same goal. Now, another small example, and then another 5 minutes I will wind up and we'll take up the question and answer session. Multitasking has been glorified in corporate circles. So I go very often to large corporates for senior management to speak to them about mind management and give them a different perspective. Multitasking has been glorified in everybody's life. Okay, so everybody says, oh, you know, I am eating food, I'm watching television, I'm talking on the mobile also. So I tell people, why have you stopped at 3 things? Why don't you keep a jug of water on your head and balance that also while talking on the mobile, eating food and watching television? Do 5 more things. Where is the problem? Well, the problem is the following. Look at this very closely if you can. You are eating food. Who has to do the digestion? Your subconscious mind. While the subconscious mind is entrusted with the all-important task of doing the digestion, on the television, some negative news may be going on, some negative program may be going on, something else may be going on. It's also absorbing that data. You may be screaming on the phone to somebody, you may be shouting, yelling, you may be anxious, you may be frustrated, God knows what. It has to go through all those emotions also, and it has to digest the food also. What will happen to your digestion? You will most certainly become acidic. You will suffer from indigestion. Many other psychosomatic conditions will set in because the conscious mind and the subconscious mind are not together as one. In fact, the conscious mind feels that the subconscious mind feels that the conscious mind is not supporting it in any of the important tasks. So they are at loggerheads. And most importantly, I explained to you earlier, concentration of energy. With multitasking, there is no concentration of energy. It is scattered energy. So if you want 35 out of 100, if you want 40 out of 100, why stop at 4 things? Do 20 things. But if you want 99 or 100 out of 100, do one thing at a time. Do one thing at a time with absolute concentration of energy, where both your conscious mind and your subconscious mind have come together as one. Your life energies should be involved in everything you do. So when I come to this webinar, I come with 200% energy. I'm not thinking of anything else. I'm not going to think of what's going to happen after this webinar. That is the future. I'm not thinking of what happened before this webinar. I have to give 200% energy to this webinar. I come with only one thought. How much more can I give to my audience? I don't come with the thought of what can I take, because there is a balance to my mind. So in meditation, we say, and that is the last part of my talk before we go to the session, people ask, what do you achieve by meditation? So I meditate for about 1.5 hours every day in the morning. They ask me, what do you achieve by meditation? They ask many other people. So somebody gave a very interesting reply one day. He said, for most people, when they close their eyes, they're restless. When they open their eyes, they ask, what can we take? What is the takeaway for us? What can we take? Once you get into meditation, when you close your eyes, you're absolutely blissful and peaceful. When you open your eyes, you ask, what can I give? This is the difference that meditation brings to your life. It gives you the much needed balance, the much needed stillness. The right word is stillness. And the most important thing about meditation, which I want all you students to understand, and we'll try and do a meditation technique also today. You see, in the science of happiness, we run a module called the science of happiness. Whatever you're pursuing in life, somebody is pursuing a degree so that he gets a job and he becomes successful in his career. Okay. Why is he doing it? For happiness. Somebody wants to move from a smaller house to a bigger house. Why? For happiness. Somebody wants to do something else, buy a bigger car or go abroad or do something else. The bottom line is everybody is looking for happiness. So I want to give you one important clue as far as happiness goes. And this, if you apply in your life, you will be the happiest person. In our Science of Happiness module, we teach this. There are 5 levels of happiness. The first level is the sensory level. Sensory level means all the pleasures you get through your senses, through your 5 sensory organs. So it may be eating, it may be drinking, it may be all other physical activity that you're doing through your sensory organs. That is one level of pleasure. That is the elementary level 1 of happiness. Okay? 80% of mankind remain stuck at this level for a lifetime. The second level is the level of doing something creative that gives you a little more happiness. Okay, you're doing something which is creative. It may be painting, it may be music, it may be writing, something creative. Maybe doing some sculpting, something that is creative. It gives you a slightly higher level of happiness because you are becoming the creator there. In a sense, you're the creator. The third level is when you do something really mind-blowing or outstanding in terms of cracking a problem or crossing a level of difficulty, overcoming a level of difficulty which is very difficult for the rest of the other people to do. So it may be a unique mathematical problem which you just cracked and the entire school could not do it, the entire college could not do it, nobody could do it, but you cracked that problem. Or in a corporate organization, in the COVID-19 pandemic, there's a severe problem to major organizations. One CEO found a solution and it worked like magic. He could crack the code in the COVID pandemic. So this is the third level of happiness. Sensory is basic level 1. This is the creativity is level 2. It's slightly higher. This of cracking something extraordinary is the third level. It's higher than creativity also. The fourth level is service. When you do something for others and you see a smile on their face, that is the biggest happiness that you could possibly get, bigger than all these 3 levels of happiness. So Gandhi wrote in one of his books that something he did for a poor child one day, and he saw a big broad smile on that child's face, and he said, I have never felt more happy in my life till then, but that smile of that child just changed my entire chemistry. It gave me so much happiness. I had never experienced so much happiness in my life. And the 5th and the highest level of happiness, now this is where you should focus on. If you want to experience the highest level of happiness that is available to human beings on this planet, that can come through meditation.
So you are in mute.
You are on mute.
Okay, it went to mute by mistake. Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So did you all hear the 4th and 5th level of happiness, or did you hear just the 4th?
Just the 4th.
No, sir. 4th and 5th both.
4th and 5th both I will repeat. You want me to repeat both?
No, sir. We have heard the 4th and 5th level of happiness.
Okay, you heard the 4th and 5th level. Okay, cool. So the 5th level of happiness, as I'm saying.
Sir, we hear only 4th level.
Only 4th level, okay.
Yeah.
So the 5th level of happiness, which is far bigger than all the previous 4 levels, and which is the highest level of happiness available to human beings on the planet, and go by your subjective experience. Don't believe anything that I say, experience everything that I say. So when we did these 2 live experiments, what did we do? We made them look into their subjective experience, because your subjective experience is the absolute truth. So I want you all to experience this. This is the 5th level of happiness, and that is meditation. And meditation provides the much needed foundation of stillness to your mind so that you never lose your balance. So I gave you example of that student who was a very good at archery, but when it came to the edge of the cliff and actually getting his target from there, his balance was not there. So his skill became useless. Meditation gives you that balance. Meditation gives you that stillness. Meditation gives you the highest level of happiness. So we are going to end with this 2-minute meditation technique, which I'm going to make you all go through. I think I've taken almost 1 hour 15 minutes. So with this 2-minute meditation technique, we'll end. I want everybody to close their eyes and just follow my voice. Close your eyes and follow my voice. And just observe your breath if you can while you're doing this. Just follow my voice. I'll literally hand hold you through this technique. Okay? And with that, after that, we are open for question and answers. We'll go to the question and answer session. This is the last 2 minutes of meditation. So please close your eyes, everybody. Even the host, you can also do it. Experience it. Everybody should. Akhilesh ji, aap bhi experience kijiye. Okay. So relax, everybody. Take a deep breath, inhale, and exhale gracefully. You are now sitting on a beach next to the ocean. You're sitting on a beach next to the ocean, meditating with your eyes closed. You're only observing your breath, gracefully inhaling and gracefully exhaling. Inhale, exhale. Observe your breath. Your body is completely at ease and your spine is erect. Your body is completely at ease. You're relaxed now. Your conscious mind is observing how your subconscious mind manages breath so gracefully, so efficiently, so joyously, to keep you full of life and full of energy. Your conscious mind and your subconscious mind are now engaged in a very friendly, warm conversation. You relax even more, and there is an uninterrupted flow of awareness and consciousness within you. There is a cool wind blowing across your face. Your inner chemistry becomes magnetic. Every cell in your body is now one with every atom in the universe. The magnetic chemistry within you attracts birds flying over the beach. These beautiful birds swoop down and gather around you. They sit around you in a circle, but you are undisturbed. You are relaxed. You are oblivious to their presence. Your chemistry is still magnetic. The birds can feel your calm, your peace, and your all-inclusive presence. You don't even realize, but now your skin has a different glow, and your aura is radiating a tremendous amount of positive, healing energy. Your thoughts have become very subtle. subtle, very, very subtle. You relax even more. The thoughts become subtler and eventually subtlest, almost to a point of no thought. This point of no thought is the most significant point of human existence. And you experience it only through meditation. The entire experience of meditation is similar to that of a diver diving into the ocean. In the first few dives, he dives in and quickly comes out. He just has a lingering feeling of the ocean. The next few dives are deeper, more deeper, and he retains quite a bit of the color and fragrance of the ocean. The third round of dives are the deepest, and you touch the ocean bed. The ocean bed is the real calm and peace of the ocean. The ocean bed, like the point of no thought, is essentially symbolic of bliss consciousness. This is the absolute truth. This is the never-changing absolute reality. Here there are no mind games. Mind games require two or more than two. Here there is only one. The one absolute, never-changing reality. Here, at this point of awareness, at this point of bliss consciousness, there is no fair and dark. There is no beautiful and ugly. There is no them and us. Here, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind are working together as one to help you achieve all your dreams, all your ambitions, and all your goals. The conscious and the subconscious mind are part of one great team. You have managed to touch that point. At this point, awareness flows continuously and heals all psychosomatic conditions and diseases. There is no residue of the past whatsoever. You now have a whole new life. It is total transformation. Every single body cell is now ready for a whole new experience. The universe is waiting to embrace you with open arms. You are one with the universe, and the universe is one with you. Open your eyes slowly and gracefully and take this whole new life forward with gratitude. Please open your eyes slowly, gracefully. That was a brief technique that I did with meditation. With that, I would like to wind up my part of the webinar in terms of my talking. I would now hand it over to our charming and articulate host to take it forward from here.
Thank you, sir. While I was meditating, I went so much into it that I just forgot that I have to take a Q&A session further.
Don't worry.
It was wonderful. It was really wonderful.
Actually meditating. Fantastic.
The chat box is gushing with so many questions. Few of them have asked publicly and few have asked privately also. So I would take questions one by one. The first question, and a very interesting question this is though, a very different, unique question this is. The child, this is a student who has asked this question. He says, my mother is a teacher in the same institute. And in spite of me taking efforts and achieving things, my schoolmates say that it's not your achievement. It's only because your mom is a teacher here. So the question is how to deal with nepotism.
Now, there is a very interesting story that I would like to share. See, when we go as speakers to audiences in different parts, 99% of the audience is unknown to us. Okay? Everybody may take home a different impression. So, for example, today, if there are 700, 800, 500,000, I don't know how many participants on YouTube and Zoom put together, everybody is going to form their own perception and their own opinion about this webinar. If I go, conducting my life depending on the perception and opinion of each person, there is a series of problems. Okay, so let's look at this closely. There was once a guy, who was very concerned about what other people would tell him, and the moment somebody said something negative, he used to get very angry and literally go to bash up the other gentleman who would say something negative or something which he did not like. So, for example, if somebody said, "You are a donkey," he would get very angry. He would roll his sleeves and he would go to him and tell him, "What did you say? What did you say? Come again." And he would get into a physical brawl with him. Now, in this story, what is important to understand? By him calling you a donkey, you have not become a donkey. Even he knows that, even you know that. But when you roll your arms and go for a brawl, I think at that point you have actually become a donkey. So, outside world is never in our control. What others say, what others may do is never in our control. Even if it goes 5% your way, I'm saying 5%, please consider yourself lucky. What is in your control is the inside, your response. Not your reaction, your response. I'm using the word response. So I'll give you another story. When you register the wrong response, what happens? So this happened in a corporate boardroom meeting. There were 20 people in the meeting and the CEO was conducting the meeting. One of his juniors suddenly gave some observation which the CEO didn't like. The CEO told him, "What a stupid observation you have made. Why don't you do your homework thoroughly and come? It is useless if people come this way for the meeting. You are absolutely a useless guy, absolute idiot. Please watch your words before you talk." So he literally insulted him in front of the 20 people. Now, this man registered the insult, stored it in his subconscious mind as a program. And though he did not say anything to his CEO then, because he was a senior, he didn't want to offend him and he didn't want his job to be at risk. He registered it in his subconscious mind, he stored it strongly. And he thought to himself, this world is full of idiots. My boss has no respect for me. He is an absolute idiot. He doesn't know how to talk to juniors. And he's an unreasonable man. He's a negative man. Blah, blah, blimp. All registration done. Meeting gets over in 1 hour. He enters the Mumbai traffic. Again, it's raining and there are about 100 cars in front of him, 100 cars behind him. He's stuck in the traffic. Again, that same program is playing. This world is full of problems. These people are honking. Nobody is giving way for the other car to go. It's full of negative people. It's full of idiots. It's full of unreasonable people. The same song is playing in the subconscious mind. The same program is playing. And he's constantly using that program. Finally, after 2 hours, he reaches home. His child has done something which he does not like. So he again starts saying, children of this generation don't have respect for what the elders say. They're absolute idiots. We are spending so much money on them. They're spending so much time on them. They still cannot measure up to our expectations. They have no serious goals and ambitions in life. Absolutely stupid children these days. Again, a negative program. That same negative program is running from the office for that insult till he reaches home. And sometimes insults people store for months together and years together also. If, oh, that guy insulted me, I'm going to get even with him. Now, 1 year later, with that same negative program stored very firmly in his subconscious mind and playing very often in his life, enters a clinic and tells he's diagnosed with a blockage, there is a problem. So the doctor says, okay, there is a blockage, we'll solve it. We'll give some medication, we'll do certain other things. We'll do certain tests, we'll do certain surgeries if required. In a couple of months, the problem is solved, blockage is gone. But that program is still playing in the subconscious mind. That program is not gone. 6 months to 1 year later, he gets another blockage in another place. The doctor again puts him on the surgery table, does another surgery, gives him more medication, gives him more treatment. But let me tell you with absolute confidence, problems and the blockages will keep surfacing until you eliminate the negative program from your subconscious mind. The doctor can heal you and the symptoms, he can cure the blockage. The program has to be deleted by you. Until you delete that program, health problems will keep coming. So what you register is the key. People may say anything, the inside should be in our control. Outside can never go 100% our way. I hope that answers your question.
Wonderfully answered, sir, with so many examples and all. Actually, this was my question also when children normally you would ask these questions. So I would answer them but differently, but not the way you answered it. Fantastically answered, sir. Very nice. There is another question about meditating. Two questions I'll merge together. What is the best time to meditate, and why do we feel sleepy while we are meditating?
Good question. Who asked these questions?
One has told not to reveal the name. Another is our very own teacher, Lydia ma'am.
Okay, so I've got a James Bond also in my webinar today. Fantastic. Say a big hi and big warm hug to the James Bond. I love James Bond movies. Okay, though the last one I watched was maybe 20 years ago, but I love James Bond characters. Fantastic. So best time to meditate is in the morning, ideally 90 minutes before sunrise, because anything that is physical on this planet is cyclical in nature. Please remember this. Mark these words. Anything that is physical on this planet has a cycle attached to it. So in the morning, your body cycles in terms of receptivity, your body cycles in terms of absorbing and focusing and concentrating are different. Number two, you also get support from the environment for meditation in the morning. So typically I get up at 4:30 a.m. and I'm meditating usually till 6. I don't want you all to do that, because in one go that is not even going to happen. You should start with 5-10 minutes every day, preferably 90 minutes before sunrise, whichever part of the world you're located in. 90 minutes before sunrise is the right time. The environment also supports you, because if you observe, at that time, even the birds are silent, even the animals are silent, there is not too much traffic on the roads, so there's not too much disturbance. So your entire effort to concentrate, to focus, to come to stillness is supported by the universe. So that is why morning is the best time to meditate. Now the second part of the question, which is why do people sleep when they do meditation? The reason is very simple. You see, the only activity in your life that you have been used to with your eyes closed is sleeping. All other times, your eyes are open. When your eyes closed means you're sleeping. That is the only activity your body has been used to. So your subconscious mind has stored that program very strongly. Eyes closed means go to sleep. It has registered already. Now, that is why it will take some time to break the habit. You have to do a couple of things for meditation before actually sitting for meditation to break this habit, and try and break. And don't worry, it's part of a natural process. You will gradually evolve to it. You have to be at it. You have to keep doing it. You sit for 5-10 minutes every day with your eyes closed and focus on your breath. Eventually, you will stop sleeping. And I'll tell you certain preparations which you can do, which will help you stop sleeping. Number one is go and have a lukewarm water bath before you sit for meditation if you can. Okay? Because when you put water on your body, water has got some very unique mystical qualities. It makes you more receptive to energies, positive energies. So that is why in good old India, whenever people went to temples, even today in fact, they always say have a bath and go. If you want to feel fresh again, they say have a bath. splash nice cold water into your eyes for sure. Okay, because eyes consume maximum energy, so make sure they are fresh. And while you're meditating, you preferably wear silk clothes. Why silk clothes? Silk is a very good conductor of electricity. So in good old days, they had a science to everything. So meditation is about being receptive to certain positive energies that are available in the environment around you. So for example, in good old India, the temples were always dome shaped. Why were they dome shaped? There was a science behind it. So typically, if you sit for meditation and do a Om, the vibration of the Om hits the dome surface and comes back to where you are. You don't lose the vibration. And the entry and exit points to the temples were very small doors, and it hardly had maybe one small window. It did not have too many openings because they wanted to preserve the vibration of the environment. So you can do this as preparation for meditation, and gradually you won't sleep. And another technique which you must do is focus on your breath, which means what you can do is little different from your normal breathing. You inhale, you hold as far as you're comfortable without suffocating yourself, and then exhale. After you exhale, again hold, and then inhale. So it is 4 simple steps. Inhale, hold as long as you're comfortable. Don't suffocate yourself. Don't make yourself feel miserable. Meditation is about joy. And all this while your eyes closed. And again you exhale, hold, inhale, hold, exhale, hold. What is happening is you're slowing down your breath a little bit. The first step to mastery over mind is mastery over breath. Mark my words again. The first step to mastery over mind is mastery over breath. The mind needs a vehicle to move, and that vehicle is breath. The mind needs a vehicle to move, and that vehicle is breath. And many of you will be surprised to know this. You see, a human being takes on an average 12 to 15 breaths per minute. Okay? Dogs, if you have observed a dog breathing, dog breathes very quickly and very fast. Okay? If you observe a tortoise and an elephant, in comparison, they breathe very slowly. Human beings are neither as fast as a dog, neither as slow as a tortoise or an elephant. See the lifespan of all the three. A dog is average 12 to 15 years. Tortoise or elephant is easily 100 to 125 years if they are bred in their natural habitat in the forest, without tying their legs, without putting chains on them, without making them perform in circuses. If they're in their natural habitat, tortoise and elephants can easily be 100 to 125 years. Human beings on an average are 70 years with the advancement of science. So see how breath is directly connected to longevity of life. If you manage to slow down your breathing, which means you conduct breathing with more awareness, and you manage to slow it down a little bit, it adds years to your life. When you do meditation, it is also a massage for all your internal organs. You can go to a spa and take a massage for your hand, take a massage for your back, take a massage for your legs. Can you massage your intestine, your kidneys, your liver, your heart? You cannot. When you do meditation, you get massage for all your internal organs. Most importantly, your neurosystem, which does not even get rest when you're sleeping, gets rest when you meditate. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir. I hope all our viewers will start meditating from today onwards, because we have come to know so much about meditation today. I hope we didn't know about this so much, the scientific reason behind
I
it.
hope they start.
Yes.
And start with 5-10 minutes. That's good enough. It's a SIP, systematic investment plan. 5-10 minutes a day also will do wonders for you, and then you will start experiencing what I call is the highest level of happiness. You will go further on your own. Please.
Sure, sir. An assurance on behalf of everybody. There's one question over here. How do we help our children strike a balance in this competitive world when everyone wants to be a go-getter?
The balance lies in ensuring inner joy. Okay, you can be extremely joyful and extremely competitive. The two are not contradictory to each other. I'll tell you how. First and foremost, let me give you a simple example. You see, there was a foreigner who came to India once and he wanted to see the Taj Mahal. Okay, so he comes to Agra and he asks a local passerby, you know, where is the Taj Mahal? After he has reached Agra, he's asking the local guy, where is Taj Mahal? So that man tells him, sir, it is 10,980 miles from here. So this foreigner burst out laughing. He said, you know, I've come from another country and you are pulling a fast one on me. But I know Taj Mahal is in Agra and I know I am in Agra. So it cannot be 10,980 miles from here now. You are just pulling my leg. So he said, no, sir, I'm not pulling your leg. I'm telling you the absolute truth. So he said, please explain. So this local guy told the foreigner, the direction in which you are facing, if you go further in that direction, it is 10,980 miles. If you turn in the opposite direction, it is 2 kilometers. So the direction in which people are seeking balance and happiness, it is 10,980 kilometers further, even if you get it. And I guarantee you won't get it. But if you turn inwards, it is 2 kilometers. So we have to understand one thing. Nothing fabulous can happen outside until something fabulous is happening inside. बाहर आपको ताजमहल बनाना है, but inside if you're a total wreck, how can you build a Taj Mahal outside? It is just not possible. So the secret to context, finding the balance in a competitive world is the following. We run a module for corporates. It is called Why is Monday Miserable? The title of the module is Why is Monday Miserable? And I do this for large corporates, you know, who have 3,000, 4,000 people as their employees. We do it for their senior management. Many of you again may be astonished to know this. Even in big corporate houses, from the CEO to the office boy, 90% of the people, if not 99%, 90% of the people are looking forward to the weekend. When will Saturday come? When will Sunday come? We'll pull our legs up, we'll, and maybe have a nice drink, or maybe go for a picnic, or maybe go for a drive, or do whatever. But they're waiting for the weekend. Monday is miserable. So I tell them, if Monday is miserable, that means if you're on a 5-day week, 5 days a week are miserable. So if 5 days a week are miserable, on an average, you have to work at least 40 years in your life, say from the age of 20 to 60. Average, 35 to 40 years you have to work, professional life. By the time you reach 60, no matter what your bank balance, no matter how many bungalows you own, no matter how many fancy cars outside those bungalows, for 40 years, 5 days a week was miserable, which means 80% of your life was miserable, which means the context of your life was miserable. So the first question I ask them is, do you want a miserable life or do you want a joyful life? So everybody says we want a joyful life. Then I tell them that you must make Monday joyful. If you want a joyful life, you must make Monday joyful. So what is the learning lesson in this? Context is more important than content. You may be a plumber, you may be a toilet cleaner, you may be a CEO. That is the content. What is the context? Were you smiling? Were you joyful in your life? Did you greet everybody in the office in the morning with a warm smile and said, hi, how are you? You see, forget Monday in the office. You observe the way people are lifting phones. Hello? Yeah. It is almost, depression. It is almost an apology if they say, hello, Vivek Shetty, bolo. The way I'm saying Vivek Shetty is like an apology. I'm sorry, I'm Vivek Shetty. Everybody has got their own share of problems in life. Who wants to listen to another depressing voice at the other end? Why can't you lift the phone and say, hello, this is Vivek Shetty here. How can I help you? Or how are you? I hope you're doing well. Why can't there be a zing in your voice? Why can't there be an enthusiasm in your voice, which is infectious, which rubs across the person at the other end? Why should you sound so depressing? Observe the way people are lifting phones. So, please remember the learning lesson for balance And the learning lesson is context is more important than content. In our entire system, the way society is designed, too much importance is given to content. Everybody has forgotten context. No attention is being paid to context. And I always say context is the more important than content. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir. Actually, you answered another question about Monday being miserable, along with this question about balancing.
Okay,
There is one question which I would like to take about some subconscious mind. Actually, 2-3 of them have asked the same kind of question. The child says, I have attended many webinars about conscious and subconscious mind, but I still find it difficult to understand what my subconscious mind wants to tell me. So can you give me a simplest trick to identify my inner voice and how to train my subconscious mind?
Okay. The simplest trick to understand the subconscious mind is whatever is happening in your life today is what your subconscious mind is. So if you have a printer in your office, if you remove the printout, what you get is the performance of the printer. So whatever your life is today, whatever your habits are today, are the programs stored in your subconscious mind. If you can't focus, that is because the program of restlessness has been stored in your subconscious mind. Many of you may be surprised to know I have CEOs who are 55, 60 years old who come to my training sessions. It is difficult for them to sit quietly with their eyes closed for 5 minutes. Why? Because they have practiced restlessness for 35 years. Phone, laptop, office boy, tell, this, that, who, ha. Suddenly one fine day a Vivek Shetty comes into their life and he tells them sit quietly now. They wonder which nuclear missile hit them. Because for 40 years they've been doing hoo-ha. All the time, if hoo-ha is not happening, life is not normal. Something is terribly wrong with life. In a mental asylum, nobody calls anybody mad because everybody is mad. So everybody is doing the same thing, so they think it's normal. Everybody is restless, so everybody thinks it's normal. But the existential truth does not cease to exist because of your psychological truth. So here, we must understand this, that there are two types of truths in life. One is your psychological truth and one is an existential truth. What is a psychological truth? A cat comes into the jungle. The rat dislikes the cat because the cat is a serious threat to the life of the rat. The lion likes the cat. The lion says, if not lunch or dinner, at least breakfast is ready for tomorrow morning. Let the cat keep roaming in the jungle. I'll get him when I have to. I'll eat him. So the lion likes the cat. The rat dislikes the cat. These are your likes and dislikes are your psychological truth. One event has happened, but one person likes it, the other person dislikes it. As I was coming from out into my house to address this webinar, there was a cool wind blowing. I like the cool wind. 100 mosquitoes may have died due to the cool wind, due to the force of the wind. The mosquitoes don't like the wind. I like the wind. My like and their dislikes are our psychological truths. What is an existential truth? Each one of you is sitting in your chair or sitting in your room or standing in your house and not flying in the air because gravity has kept you down. Can there be any debate on this? Can there be any second opinion on this? It cannot. It's an existential truth. So, similarly, the entire planet is solar powered. If the sun does not rise tomorrow morning, forget human beings, no microorganism on this planet can survive. This is an existential truth. The more we live with existential truths, the more joyful and exuberant we remain. The more we live with psychological truths, the more miserable we remain. So the clue to that gentleman for the subconscious mind, how to understand what is your subconscious mind, I have given an example in this webinar of the computer. The programs stored in your computer is an exact picture of your subconscious mind. All your memory, what you call memory, are programs stored. So whatever is happening in your life, 99% or 98% of your decisions are taken by your subconscious mind. So whatever decisions you're taking, that is an exact printout of your subconscious mind. You don't need a better picture. That is the most clear picture. If Vivek Shetty has got gone into subjects like motivation, has gone into subjects like meditation, has gone into subjects to inspire people, to motivate people. There are strong programs in my subconscious mind which I'm living with every day, which are pertaining to these subjects. That is why I can do this. I am living the subject. If I don't live the subject, you will not see this courage of convictions in my speaking. Many speakers who come are actors. They are pretending to be something which they are not. They need a proper script. They need everything written. They need everything prepared. One word goes here and there, they are gone. One expression goes here and there, they are gone. They could be gone any moment. Why? Because they are an actor who's pretending to be something which is not. I am living the subject. So even when I do 3-day sessions with 2 to 3 hours, back to back, day to day, I don't carry a single piece of anything with me because I'm living the subject. You ask me any question, I won't get rattled. I'm living the subject. It is a very strong program stored in my subconscious mind, and that is what you're witnessing in this webinar. So whatever is happening in your life is direct proof of the subconscious mind. How to manage the subconscious mind, the second part of the question, one technique I'll give you right now. You see, in the night when you go to sleep, your body system is switched off, but your mind, subconscious mind is working. 30 minutes before you go to bed, give yourself a very, very positive motivation program. Listen to something which is uplifting. Listen to something which is motivating, and let your subconscious mind go to bed with that program. You will be surprised by the results it gives. Put all your goals on a piece of paper, start living with your goals. Every day feeding those goals. Make it a habit to your subconscious mind. You can attract everything you want if you program your subconscious mind. Anything and everything you want. The law of attraction functions purely on the power of the subconscious mind. So I'll give you an example of the COVID-19 pandemic where people are making the singular most important mistake with their subconscious mind. Now with the pandemic and with the rising number of cases every day, most people are making a fundamental mistake of programming their subconscious mind for the worst case scenario, which means I get COVID-19, my family members get COVID-19, my business goes down, I am stuck, there are serious problems. You're holding on to this thought very strongly in your subconscious mind. Once you're holding on to this thought very strongly, chances and probability of this thought manifesting is very high because you're giving energy to that thought, number one. Your immune system is automatically compromised when COVID attacks you. Point number one. Point number two that you have to remember is you have to program yourself for the best case scenario. Which means what? You have to tell yourself, and this is a reality, I'll give you a story to support what I'm saying, because I go only by my subjective experiences. I don't depend on borrowed knowledge. I don't depend on books written by somebody else, which is somebody else's experience. I go to my energy layers and see my subjective experience. So I'm telling you, you must program yourself for best case scenario. What is the best case scenario? You must tell, adversities offer the greatest opportunities, which is also the truth. Adversities offer the greatest opportunities. So in our very own India, there was, I think, a lady, her name, if I remember correctly, I read this case in the newspapers, Sakshi Kumar from Bihar. If I remember correctly, all papers carried her story very prominently. It was in the first 1 or 2 months of when the COVID set in and there was lockdown and everything else, traveling was restricted. Her father was a migrant laborer from Bihar who had injured his leg and could not travel. And he was stuck up in Mumbai. He could not even go back to Bihar because his leg is injured, he can't travel. In any case, there was no traveling facility. Trains were restricted from one state to another. So he was stuck here without money, without proper food, without proper staying facilities, without proper water. Somehow he was surviving. His daughter, found out about his plight. Obviously, they were touch on the mobile. They were on touch. She cycled from Bihar to Mumbai and then cycled back by making him a pillion rider on the back from Mumbai to Bihar. The entire trip took something like 7 to 10 days. She didn't even have proper food to eat. She was just carrying water and some tidbits. She didn't even have money to buy food. So this was the adversity. But somehow she took her father on the bicycle as a pillion rider. She was riding the cycle. and she ensured that she brought her father back to Bihar on a cycle. First by riding from Bihar to Mumbai, then taking him as a pillion rider and going back to Bihar. Now this story got splashed in all newspapers. The Cycling Federation of India took note of this story, and they immediately sent out an invitation to her. We want you to come for trials to be a cyclist for Team India. We are inviting you, because if you can cycle for 7 to 10 days like this with so minimum food and water, just on willpower, just on your life energies, whatever is left of it, you can be a great cyclist. So see how adversity offered an opportunity. Program yourself for the best case scenario. So to her, if the COVID had not happened, the Cycling Federation of India's invitation would not have come to her. I'll tell you a personal case of a guy who came to me counseling because he faced a business loss of 15 lakh rupees. Somebody cheated him of that money and he went into depression. So we do a lot of one-to-one counseling sessions. So he came to me for counseling because he had gone into depression. So I told him, you please change the thought that you're holding on to your subconscious mind. What did I do with him? I told him, see, 15 lakhs gone, that's a reality. You know that, I know that. Okay, he has cheated you, that's a reality. You know that, I know that. But what you hold on to in terms of thought in your subconscious mind, the program you store, what you register can make the difference to your life forward. And I changed his program. I told him, you see, you need to hold on to one thought very strongly. Though I have lost in one way, the universe has the power to return much more than that in a million ways. And this is true. I said, hold on to this thought. The universe can return much more than that. It can bless you with abundance in a million ways. You have lost in just a one way. You have lost in just one way, but it can come back to you in a million ways. And he held on to this thought. And please listen to what happened after 3.5 to 4 months. An elderly lady who happened to be a distant relative of his expired, and she had no children. She had no children. From nowhere, she somehow decided to make a will and donate all her property and wealth to this gentleman, because he was a man of sound character. He was a man of good intent, and whenever he had interacted with her, he was always helpful and tried to help her in whatever way he could. So of all the people she met in her life, she only thought of this man. And that property and wealth, which was worth 2 crores, came to him in 4 months. He lost just 15 lakhs. This is a first-hand eyewitness case that I have counseled, that I'm talking to you about. So please program yourself for best case scenario. This will bring the balance that you need in the COVID-19 pandemic. Don't think of worst case scenarios and worst case possibilities. You are programming yourself for that. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely, sir. Sir, about meditation, when I told you that most of us will start meditating from today onwards after knowing so much about it, there is one wonderful question that Remya ma'am has asked. Miraculously, except today, every other day, every other time I am left with headache for entire day after meditation. What could be the reason? So after she meditates, she experiences.
I'm sorry, I didn't get this question.
She says, miraculously today, she did not experience headache. Otherwise, normally when she does meditation, she experiences headache and that lasts for the entire day. So what could be the reason behind it?
Yeah, okay. So there are 2-3 things you have to know about meditation. No one technique works for everybody. There is no one key to every lock. Okay. So meditation also has multiple techniques. What we have discussed today is just a basic beginner step that we can take in that direction. So that is the first thing you should know, right? So all the techniques for concentration that are given today are techniques for extroverts. Because if I tell people to close their eyes for, 30 minutes and focus and concentrate, I will be the biggest villain in their life. I will be the horror movie in their life, and I don't want to be the hero of a horror film. So I don't tell them close their eyes in the beginning. I give them other techniques. So the technique, what you're doing for a meditation, is what I need to know. The answer lies there. Why are you getting a headache after meditation? Because obviously the technique is wrong somewhere. Because otherwise meditation can't give you a headache. It simply cannot give you a headache. And let me caution you on one more thing. 90% of the speakers who talk on meditation have zero subjective experience of meditation themselves. If you tell them, come and sit with me and meditate for half an hour, they themselves won't be able to sit for half an hour. But they are giving talks on meditation. So they are actually language professors. They are just playing with words. If you go down to their subjective experience, big zero. So be careful of what you learn from who. If you're getting headache, it's obviously the technique is wrong. It is not a technique meant for you. Unless you have a history of migraine or something, I don't know, then it's a totally different technique that needs to be used in your case. Some people have a history of migraine and so many other things. I don't know all that history. But the answer to your question lies in investigating the technique and your case history. Because otherwise it will be torture for you. Who will go to meditation every day for headaches? Nobody would, even I would not. So who will go to meditation for headaches? So something is wrong there in the technique. Something is wrong there in understanding the case. That's obvious.
Absolutely right. Another question is from our Vice Principal, Reshma ma'am. Is there a connection between meditation, creativity, and intelligence? Connection between meditation, creativity, and intelligence.
200% connection. So if you look at ancient Indian culture, all the philosophies, different type of philosophies, were always given by yogis or rishis. Why? They spent maximum time with their eyes closed. Only India could have given zero to the world. Why? We spent maximum time with our eyes closed. We understood zero and infinity in a manner which Western scientists are still trying to figure out. How did we know 1,000 years ago? So I'll give you an example of peak intelligence, which you can only see through meditation. Please do your research and check what I'm saying. There is a book called Occult Chemistry by Dr. Annie Besant. Occult Chemistry is the title of the book. In this book, this book was published approximately in the year 1920 or 1921. In this book, Dr. Annie Besant says, when I sit in deep states of yogic meditation, I can see that the space inside the atom is largely empty. The space inside the atom is largely empty. Now, we all know today, quantum mechanics and quantum physics has found out today that inside the DNA there are atoms. Inside the atoms there are protons, neutrons, and electrons. But 99.99999% of the space inside the atom is empty. What Annie Besant said those days was considered a philosophy because they had no evidence. Today it's a science. And today these Western scientists are trying to figure out how did Annie Besant know this in 1921. She didn't have a single scientific instrument at her disposal to measure anything or to look inside anything. How could she know in 1921? Peak intelligence was in play. Peak intelligence means your thought penetration is far more deeper. That is the simple interpretation of peak intelligence. Everybody may get the same thought, but your penetration will be much more deeper. Your energy with your thought will be much more stronger. So you will see many things which others cannot see. So another example of this in ancient India, geography was called Bhugol. Bhu means applying your mind and study. Gol means round. So they already knew the earth was round 500,000 years ago. Who told them that the earth was round? Western scientists have found out in the last 50 years, when they sent satellites into space and clicked pictures from there, they found out that the earth is round. How did these people know 500,000 years ago that the earth was round? And that is why they called geography Bhugol. They called earth Jagat. Jisko gati hai, usko Jagat bolte hain. Means they already knew the earth is rotating on its axis and revolving around the sun. How did they know this? Only because peak intelligence was at play. And peak intelligence means you are entering the field of consciousness and awareness. It is one consciousness, it is one awareness, it is one unified field. So you can, once you start penetrating this field, you come to the realization of the I, and you come to this field, you will see many things which others cannot see, but you will see it in your subjective experience. So I'll give you a very interesting incident which happened with the Buddha. Incidentally, many people use Buddha term freely. They don't know what is the meaning of Buddha. How did Siddhartha Gautama become Buddha? The Bu in Buddha stands for mind, Buddhi, Sanskrit. Buddhi means mind. Tha means above. One who is above the mind is called Buddha. Because if you're in the mind, it is just a survival process. And you will remain restless. If you are below the mind, you are retarded. If you are above the mind, you are at peak potential and at peak intelligence. So this happened with the Buddha. A gentleman once asked Buddha that whatever you are telling in your teachings to us is not there in any of the scriptures and the books that I read. So Buddha very politely told him, add them in your books. Then this man responded by saying, but what you are teaching us and what you are telling us is exactly contradictory to what is written in my books. You know what Buddha told him? Buddha told him, throw away your books. Throw away your books. Why could a Buddha talk with so much confidence? Why could a Buddha talk with so much confidence? Because that is his subjective experience. He knows I've experienced it. It is the truth. And that book, God knows who has written, by borrowing how many things from how many people, he has put all types of knowledge together, borrowed knowledge together, and put it in a book. And he's selling it as a book. In his subjective experience, he has nothing. So I'll give you one example which happened with me, which will give you an idea of subjective experience. There is a owner of a very popular international school in rural India who used to attend my webinars. He loves my talks and we are good friends. One fine day in a casual conversation, he told me, Vivek, and this is very important. I want all the students to listen to this because you'll find out maybe this is happening to you in your life. So he told me, Vivek, I read a book which sold 5 million copies. Now look at this. He has already announced 5 million copies, which means he's telling me it's a very popular book and everybody loved it and everybody liked it. That is a message which he's already subtly giving me. So I read a book which sold 5 million copies, is a bestseller. And there they've given a very interesting technique on how to use the alarm clock so that you get up on time. I said, wow, fantastic. Please tell me what is the technique. So he said the technique given in the book was, suppose if you keep an alarm for 6 a.m. in the morning, once the alarm rings 6 a.m., you within 5 minutes, you have to get out of your bed and get into your routine. Most people, they, once the alarm bell goes off, starts ringing, they switch it off and they say, I'll sleep for 10 more minutes, I'll sleep for 15 more minutes, I'll sleep for 20 more minutes, and then I'll get up. And eventually they find out they slept for 1 hour. And they were supposed to get up at 6. Eventually they are starting their day at 7. So the entire plan of the alarm clock goes for a toss. So the author in the book, gave a technique that within 5 minutes after the alarm ringing, you should get up and go. Overcome your laziness and go. And he even shared the name of the author in the name of the book. I won't name the book and I won't name the author because I'm not into running down people. That's not my what I like doing. But I'm sharing my subjective experience. So I told him, my friend, I'll give you a much better technique. So he said, what? I said, you hire a maid or a helper or a houseboy, pay her 2,000, 3,000 rupees a month, give her a nice fat bamboo stick, and at 6 a.m. tell her to spank your bottom very hard. You won't even have 5 minutes to think. You have to get up immediately. And this technique will work better than that technique given by that author in that book. Now you tell me whose technique is better, mine or his, because I am giving you so I am giving you a bamboo stick and telling you spank your bottom. You have to get up and put something on your bottom to ease the pain. There is no time even for thinking. So he burst out laughing. He said, Vivek, you are pulling my legs, in a big way. You are having good fun at my expense. I said, no, my friend, don't go by what is written in books. This body of yours is one of the most sophisticated gadgets on the planet. It has got such beautiful mechanisms. Your biological clock is the most beautiful clock. I get up at 4:30 with no alarm clocks every day without fail, Sunday ho ya Monday. And I said, if you get up with an alarm clock, now this is what children and teachers should know. I told him one thing. If you get up with an alarm clock, you will be a nervous wreck the entire day. Why? And I said, observe yourself. You made money. You've made, institutions. Good, great. But if I look at your face, you are restless, you're nervous, you're anxious all the time. Sometimes if we show the face of a successful businessman to a 5-year-old child, you see the child in its innocence does not know what is his bank balance, does not know what's his designation, chairman, MD, or what he is, does not know which car he has come back. The child will say, this guy looks like the hero of a horror film, because his face has become so nervous, so anxious, so full of horror. So I said, time is up is the most dangerous message you can ever give yourself. And people are giving these messages to themselves all the time. Whoever the author of the book, he has no subjective experience whatsoever. He is reading from somewhere, picking up, applying his own mind to something and using his own formulas. Look at your own subjective experience. You can bring this machine into functioning with a lot of grace. So I get up, I walk very slowly and gracefully, have my bath and sit for meditation with absolute peace and joy. I tell the energies of the universe, I am breathing, I am grateful to you for that. I know this morning, as I have woken up, maybe 10 lakh people have died for whatever reasons, for different reasons all over the world. But I am alive, I am full of gratitude. I begin my day with grace. And what is an alarm clock? An alarm clock is something which tells you time is up. When it says time is up, every body cell is getting the message time is up. When every body cell gets the message time is up, your BP goes up, blood pressure goes up. When every body cell gets the message time is up, your memory becomes feeble. When every body cell gets the message time is up, your capacity for rational thinking is severely diminished, and a lot of other psychosomatic conditions set in. So never wake up to an alarm clock. Most importantly, never give yourself ever the message time is up. Even in the COVID pandemic, most people are making this mistake of telling that time is up for our business. Time is up for this. Time is up for that. This is the most dangerous message you can give to your body cell. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Sir, I'll club 3 questions. One has come from our YouTube viewer, and one from Farhan Sheikh, one of our students from 10th standard. He talks about emotions and depression. He says, he's asking, what are your thoughts about letting your anger, sorrow, depression out by crying? Then there is another question which is linked to this, how to overcome suffering, and also how can we delete negative memory from our subconscious mind? So these 3 questions I thought of.
First question is about crying.
Yeah. Is it good to cry out your depression when you're depressed or emotional or sad, or how do you let your emotions? Farhan wants to know, what are your thoughts about it? How do you let your emotions?
So let us understand emotion from a totally different perspective, from the perspective of energy. I'll give you the scientific explanation to this, and you'll understand what is happening within you. In all these 3 questions, one more thing which is important and which will play a pivotal role is your understanding of the I. So when, for example, if I have some pain, let us say, for example, I fell down and I have some pain. You know what I tell myself? I tell myself, the body is having pain, but I am not body. I am the consciousness or awareness, and it is only the body that is having pain. Consciousness or awareness is eternal. It is immortal. It is always there forever. So 50% of my pain goes down there and then itself, because I am doing what we call is quantum healing. So many of you may be surprised to know I haven't taken a pill for a headache or for a stomach ache or for anything like that for the last 8-9 years. Unless, of course, once in a while you get an infection, which means, as I said, a mosquito bites you and you get malaria. That is external attack. You have to take pills to combat the external infection. But if you keep that aside, I don't take pills at all. For the last 9 years, I haven't taken pills at all. And thankfully, I'm healthy. So coming to emotion, what is emotion? So Farhan, please listen carefully. Okay. So what Farhan does today depends on what Farhan thinks. What Farhan thinks depends on what Farhan feels. What Farhan feels depends on the emotion prevailing within his body at this moment. What is emotion? Split the E and the motion. It is energy in motion. Emotion is nothing but energy in motion. What does emotion depend on? So emotion is energy in motion. Sorry, what does energy depend on? Energy depends on the data streaming around you. So what is data streaming? Viveck Shetty is addressing this webinar. Farhan is listening. He is trying to analyze what I'm trying to say. That analysis will produce data streaming. That data streaming will produce energy. That energy will produce emotion. That emotion will produce feeling. That feeling will produce thought. That thought will produce action. So emotion is nothing but energy in motion. Now we have, export management courses. We have fashion designing courses. We have business management courses. We don't have mind management and energy management courses. If you know how to manage your energy, you essentially know how to manage your emotions. So I'll give you a simple example of this. And I'll also tell you about the crying aspect of it. The fire that cooks your food can also burn your house. I just need to change the direction of the fire. The same fire that is now cooking food in your house, if instead of going vertical to the container, if I change the direction sideways, it may burn everything else. Energy does not come with an instruction manual about what you should be doing with energy. If you get into certain practices, what we call yogic practices or certain energy management practices, you will know how to manage energy, which means the moment you get angry, you know now energy is moving in a particular direction. You want to change the direction, you know how to change the direction. If you don't change the direction of the energy or you don't know how to manage the energy will always look for expression. The energy will look for expression. So you have to cry because the energy is seeking expression. This is what is happening with you at a scientific level. So many a times, you see, there are different emotions that come across us. If you know suppose if you get angry, try this technique. When the moment you get angry, tell yourself two things, and which is again a scientific rule. Anger is nothing but a person who is temporarily mad is called angry. Scientifically, a person who is angry is called as a person who is temporarily mad. So anger means there's a rush of blood. Blood pressure rises. So you tell yourself, first step to solving any problem is awareness. You become aware that you're angry. The next thing you tell yourself is, you program your subconscious mind saying, anger is not good for my health. Anger means I'm temporarily mad. So success in life means the less angry I get, the more successful I am. You program your subconscious mind constantly with this thought. It should become a habit. And the moment you get angry, you isolate yourself, go to a corner if you can, or some place where you can be to yourself for 10 minutes, just do deep breathing. The same energy will move in a different direction. Try this. And you also do one more technique when you get angry or you're feeling emotionally disturbed. This is a very important energy zone at the center of your forehead. Take any finger, preferably your thumb, and press here for 30 seconds to 1 minute. 1 minute or even a little longer. And you will notice the energy flow within your system is altering its direction. So that same energy which can wreak havoc, which can make your life miserable, people have got angry for 2 minutes and repented for the rest of their life, what they did in those 2 minutes. What if they had learned energy management, they would have done something else with that energy, and nothing of what happened in those 2 minutes would have happened, and their entire life would have taken a different direction. So this is what I say in my talks. Energy management and mind management will come into play no matter what you do in life. You may be a businessman, you may be a pilot, you may be a fashion designer, you may be a teacher, you may be a principal, you may be a vice principal. These two things have to have a very important role in your life. And we never pay attention to these two things. And we expect magic to happen on the other side. That is the comedy of the tragedy. All right. So that's the crying part of it. Then the second part of the question was, sorry, the subconscious. What are the other two questions?
It was about, 1 second, I just missed that question here. If anyone can just help me, I just missed out that question.
You can ask the next one.
So it was about a subconscious mind only. I'll ask another question, which is the last one. I have clubbed 2 questions from here. One from the YouTube viewer. How important, and one from our 10th standard child named Jagbir Singh. How important is it to set goals? Can't we lead our lives in a simple way? Why there is so much of pressure on us to set goals, and why do our elders keep telling us to study hard?
Okay. In fact, I wanted to include goal setting in my webinar today, but purely for time constraints, I did not. But I'm glad this gentleman brought out the subject. Setting goals is good, and do it because it is like giving direction to a ship which is sailing on the sea. So, for example, if you have a ship on the sea and you're the captain of the ship, you cannot be directionless and rudderless and just floating and drifting on the sea with nowhere to reach. Okay. There have to be some definite ideas about what you want to do with your life once you reach a certain level of maturity, and your parents and your teachers are there to guide you, to help you evolve. Now, the key operational word here is evolve, not control. So a teacher or a parent or a trainer or a guru should create the environment for the rose flower to blossom. That is all that needs to be done. The rose flower will bend in the direction of light automatically. The responsibility is to create the environment. So if there are parents in this webinar, if there are, I want to tell them, parents should become less of landlords and more of gardeners. Less of landlords and more of gardeners. All the unfulfilled ambitions of our life, unfulfilled desires of our life, we should not put pressure on our children that I did not do this, but you do this. No. You become the gardener. You provide the soil, you provide the earth, you provide the water, you provide the air, right amount of air, and the rose flower will blossom on its own. So that's point number 1. Now, in goal setting, the biggest mistake, which even forget students and sometimes trainers and teachers and everybody else, even large corporate organizations make this mistake in goal setting. Listen to me very carefully on this one. Okay. What is the mistake a vast majority of mankind is making? You have a goal, you set the goal, great, fantastic. Now, let us say Usain Bolt, the Olympic champion in running, is running a 400 meters race. Okay. What is his goal? This is the starting point. It's a circular track, and this is the ending point. So his goal is to reach from point A to point B in the fastest possible time and beat everybody else and become number 1. This is the goal. Great. Now, where do most people make the mistake? Let's take the example of Usain Bolt only. Suppose when Usain Bolt, while running this race, if he keeps one eye on the goal all the time, which means he's running with one eye on the track and one eye like this. So he's always running like this. One eye is here on the track, one eye is here on the goal, on the finishing point. What happens? Though Usain Bolt has been blessed with 2 eyes, he has reduced himself to become a handicapped with only one eye. He's using only one eye to run. Because he's continuously obsessed with his goal, which means he's looking at the finishing point constantly and running with only one eye. Fortunately, Usain Bolt doesn't run this way. That is why he's an Olympic champion. He doesn't run this way. But most people make this mistake. So, once you identified your goal, what is the smart thing to do next? With complete intensity of involvement, negotiate the path and drop the goal. Don't stop thinking of the goal then. You have to negotiate the path, as we say in yoga, with complete intensity of involvement, with complete energy to every thought while it is negotiating the path. Another thing which happens when you're living with your goals 24/7, in fact, as I told you, even corporate organizations make this mistake. You are eternally in the future. So today I'm talking, say for example, on 23rd September 2020. Suppose somebody is thinking of a goal which he has to achieve on 23rd October 2020. The person is physically in Viveck Shetty's webinar on 23rd September 2020. The mind is on 23rd October 2020. the person is in the future. When 23rd October comes, he or she will be in 23rd November. When 23rd November comes, he or she will be in 23rd December. You will be like that passenger on the railway platform who never took any train anywhere, was always waiting for the next train to come. I gave that story early in the beginning of the webinar. The human mind is the biggest factory in the world that produces suffering because it is usually in one of the two faculties. It is either in memory, which means the past, or it is in imagination, which means the future. Another thing which you must look at is the future is the child, the present is the mother. Can you ignore the health of the mother and have a healthy child? You ignore the mother, she's virtually starved, she's virtually deprived of sleep, you're not giving her any proper care and attention, she's going through a major depression, she's in a total mental havoc. If this is the state of the mother, can the child be healthy? So the present is the mother of the future. You focus on the mother, the child will automatically become healthy. You focus on the child and forget the mother, the child will for sure become unhealthy. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir, absolutely. And that was the last question that we took just now. Due to time constraint, we could not take all the questions individually, but most of the questions were similar about conscious mind, subconscious mind, success, failure, pressure handling, etc. So all those answers were, those questions were answered while you were answering the other questions. Now, I would like to request our chairman, CA Shankar Shetty, to speak a few words and share his insights with us about the session.
So you are on.
So you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Hi, Vivek.
Namaskara, Shankarana.
Namaskara. It was a great webinar. Although I was on and off from the webinar due to some meetings, it was fantastic, Vivek, as usual.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I think majority of the things which is required to reach that peak, you have already, dissected and explained to the students and all the participants. It's a great thing.
Thank you so much.
You are Vivek all the time. You are at your best. Very good, very nice, very elaborate.
Thank you.
Each one is explained in a very, very meticulous way. Good. Let's have some more sessions in the coming months or years for the students and the teachers. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
No, it's our pleasure. I think it is demand from our teachers that Vivek should come and speak to them, children, and also to the parents. Isn't it?
Yeah, that is what we call is the train the trainers module.
Yeah.
And I am also very keen on doing that because that way the message spreads much faster in society and to people at large. Because once inputs are given to the trainers, they are constantly in touch with the students. They will implement it on a daily basis, and they are the ones who will also monitor the progress of those training modules.
See, everybody wants to reach the peak.
Yes.
Problem is, many are not able to do it.
Right.
So you have given the solution so that everybody can reach there.
Right.
Good. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Isn't it?
Yes. Thank you so much for inviting me. It was an absolute pleasure. And I've always loved every webinar that I do because I come with 200% involvement and energy and enthusiasm. And this webinar, the questions were fantastic. It shows that we had a highly involved and attentive audience. They were keen listeners. And the questions were also wonderful. So I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Thank you so much for this wonderful experience.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Vivek. All the best. God bless.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to invite one of our students from Standard 10th, Master Raghav Sabu, to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of every one of us. Before that, just a reminder to all the viewers, please fill in the feedback form before leaving. Can we have Raghav on the first frame, please? Yes, Raghav, you're good to go.
Good evening, everyone. I, Raghav Sabu, wish a graceful evening to our honorable chief guest, Mr. Vivek Shetty, sir, honorable dignitaries, respected educators, and to my fellow mates. It's my privilege to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of this esteemed institute. We want to exhibit our gratitude to our honorable chief guest who spared his valuable time for us. Sir, you have graced this occasion with your presence. Today we learn the alluring art of living in the present and how can we control our minds and increase our concentration and focus. We also got to know the significance of a bell. Sir, you beautifully made us realize that our mind is a hub of suffering. You illuminated our minds with your adorable thoughts, and your stories were really captivating and relatable. You made the session really interactive and fascinating. I would like to quote that a mind that is still, the whole world surrenders. I further thank our Honorable Principal, Ms. Seema Sablok ma'am, and Honorable Vice Principal, Mrs. Reshma Rao ma'am, for organizing such fruitful sessions. Such sessions are really satisfactory in crisis times. Somewhere deep down, we all are struggling in this world crisis. In this pandemic, we were not only affected physically, but more of mentally. And our institute never procrastinated to help us all. Thank you for organizing such fruitful sessions. We all look forward to be part of such sessions more often. Also, I thank our best group of teachers for coordinating with us. It wouldn't have been possible without you all. And at last, I thank my fellow mates for maintaining the dignity of the event. I wish you all a superior day ahead. Thank you.
At the end, I would really like to add here, I would like to thank all our management for such a fantabulous support that we have from them and the interest that they have that our students should be doing well and achieving their peak potential. So thank you, Shankar sir, for making us guiding us to invite Mr. Vivek and enlightening his thoughts, his ideas, and his learning. I'm sure we are going to be really benefited of it, and our teachers are really going to look forward to your training session. So
Okay.
thank you very much.
Namaskara to one and all.
Thank you.
Namaskara. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Here we end the session. Thank you for joining with us.
Ma'am, shall we end the session?
Thank you, Raghav.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Raghav. Thank you, everyone. We can leave the meeting. Ankita ma'am, you can end the meeting now. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.